It's not upcoming. This is just live. This is just live. It's not upcoming. This is... Oh my fucking god. Oh, finally. Jesus fucking Christ. It's live. Hello, Ikar. You are the first person here. You are the first person who this is actually working for. Hello. Sorry I'm late. I am on edge. I am here. I am here. I tried to add this membership goal, and Streamlabs has just made it impossible for me to start a stream. I have been clicking start stream over and over again, as you all have probably noticed, so I am not in the best mood today. Oh, fuck me. Ugh. Yeah, there we go. Right. Now everything is done. We made it, yeah, just about. Issues resolved, finally. Yeah, adding a stupid membership goal broke effing everything. And yeah, we're finally out here, later than expected, but... sorry, it was just... It also doesn't help that when Streamlabs, if any of you ever become streamers and stream on YouTube, OBS doesn't actually work when it's trying to tell you that there's no issue. It just tells you streaming is forbidden. And you're like, okay, maybe there's a stream creation is forbidden section. No, it just says forbidden. But I don't care. We're live. I'm going to play some Wordle. I'm going to ignore what all of you say and tell me how to... And tell me, oh, here's the answer. No, even if I get it wrong, I'm not listening to any of you and your crudities. I'm going to start with Crane. I'm going to start with a simple word. Sign you need to move to Twitch. I like streaming on YouTube, but maybe one day, yeah. Yeah, putting my PC in Rice may be the way forward. Smoking big doinks in Amish. Didn't that guy die? Maybe smoking big doinks is not a good idea. And of everyone here, Ika, I have to give you a major shout out for offering me solidarity during my tech issues. And yes, Keir Starmer has made streaming illegal. Keir Starlin has made everything illegal. Is this a word? No. Oh. No, it can't be that. I'm just typing nacho, but I'm just wondering what this is. No. It's not very helpful because I can't think of a word with any of this naced. I don't think it is. Yeah, I know it's antsy is what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Thank you for pointing out what it actually is and how it's spelled. Second letter is E. Okay. I don't think it's that. Because I can't think of anything that's like that. Second letter is E, so... pecan is actually a really good guess. And I ate some today. Wow! Ika, you know what? For your solidarity, huge. Pecan. Pecan? I ate some today. Oh, God. Right, that is amazing. That is nice that is all done. I'm very glad. Ika, you got it in 2. Very clever chap. For Keir Starmer to make Keir Starmer illegal. I hope Keir Starmer becomes illegal. You know what? I'm having such a tough time that I'm going to actually have an early Zin. That's how much of a tough time I'm having. My solidarity. I didn't really see your solidarity in mod chat. Ikar just delivered a solidarity with Chris in his struggle against technical problems. Mashallah, he will win. Inshallah, he will win. No, pecan is a kind of nut. I'm sure I could go on one of those test things where you just have like a small amount and eventually you become able to, you gain the ability to eat it. Okay, right. Stake interest, share. Stake interest, share. Oh, I think it's one of these. Concern. Yeah, there we go. No. Oh, maybe you are right. Mirror, garlic, cross. If there was silver, I might have agreed with you, but I don't know. Ringer, double, mirror, clone. It's those. Cross, crescent, stripe. Why is it those? Things to do with the American flag? Common flag symbols. Okay, yeah. I guess the American flag doesn't have a crescent, a star, or a cross. It just has some... No, it has stars and stripes. Sorry, of course it has stars and stripes. But it doesn't have a cross. Pressed using a press. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Isolatte. Oh, I can't have pistachios. It's a very negative part of enjoying the Middle Eastern culture. But speaking of Middle Eastern culture, did any of you hear this unbelievable video of like a Persian translator of Donald Trump yesterday?
خیلی با وزنه برداری فرق میکنه. ببینید من میخوام بیشتر از این بگم ولی حالا نداره بقیه دارن تماشا میکنن دوست دارم اینجوری یه ذره اینجا بخواد این وزنه بلند کن روی میله خیلی با وزنه برداری فرق میکنه.
This is just incredible content is going on the BBC. I mean the purple one is just terrible there.
ببینید من میخوام بیشتر از
He's literally just translating Trump. There's nothing to understand. He's saying like, wait, what's he saying there?
خیلی با وزنه برداری فرق میکنه. ببینید من میخوام بیشتر.
He's just saying I want to be more. من میخوام
بیشتر از این بگم ولی
And then he says something about saying.
حالا نداره بقیه دارن تماشا میکنن دوست دارم اینجوری یه ذره اینجا.
So this is the kind of Farsi that theoretically I can understand, but when someone is translating this fast, not a chance.
بخواد این وزنه بلند کن روی میله
وزنه بلند.
خیلی با
But yeah, there's not really much to understand. But the reason I can kind of understand that is because that's formal Farsi. So actually no, it's not, because he's saying man migam, whereas in informal Farsi, formal Farsi, you'd say man miguyam. POTUS on his imitation of trans athletes in women's sport. My wife hates it when I do this.
He gets up and they put a little tiny thing like this, little thing. And my wife, by the way, my wife hates when I do this.
You know the film Lost in Translation? What if there is actually nothing that is lost in translation? It's very clear that you can reiterate it.
She said, you know, she's a very classy person, right? She said, it's so...
I think it's worth reiterating. How could you plausibly be like a classy lady and married to a man of Donald Trump's behavior and stature?
Unpresidential. I said, but I did become president. You know, she hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know.
Is there a long history of FDR dancing? What's he talking about?
Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, you know, he was quite elegant. But
listening to this again, why the White House have... Obviously, they've posted it because it's getting motion on the internet, and whoever is running this account is like, you know, someone very unfunny, very, you know, kind of like untalented, and so it's kind of just like, oh, I love the likes on this post. But it's not really like a coherent takedown of trans athletes. If anything, like, I'm sorry, if you're like, oh yeah, he's owned the trans people, it just seems very, very, very unfunny. Oh, of course FDR was wheelchair bound. There's the thing in the episode of Always Sunny where they're like, oh, I'm doing an FDR thing.
he wouldn't be doing this, but nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible. And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, yeah.
That's the kind of face, as I said yesterday, that you're only whipping out when you're yacked up to the gills on some kind of upper related thing that pertains or related to, you know, MD. Molly, y'all. Trump's off his face on Molly. He's geeking.
When she gets it, drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up. Bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right? It's crazy.
Well, I mean, once again, every time I kind of look at Trump, I really do think, like, what he, without makeup and hair and wig. Like, it's so obvious Trump's wearing a wig, but kind of, I don't know if this is a more recent pic. No, this is 6 years ago, and he probably looked better when this was in, oh, this is not viewable in my region. Okay, brilliant. But Trump without his wig and his hair, imagine him doing that on stage. You know that meme that's like, when the sexy, handsome man says hello, and it's like, oh, hey, cutie, and then when it's the, like, unattractive man, it's like, human resources. Would you guys still be laughing if Trump was looking like that instead of that? Because the guy is, like, I don't think that's an exaggeration to make him look bad. If you took away his color and you took off his hair, because it is fake, he would look insane. How would a man of his age even survive the amount of drugs it would take to put on these performances? He's filled with motor oil, and whatever the hell they're putting in him. I mean, he says, I reckon the things this guy is taking are truly unbelievable. You couldn't even comprehend. You can't even buy them on the street. But also, by the way, Americans, my country may be humiliated, but so is yours. This just being what, like, rapid response posts. POTUS on his imitation of trans athletes in women's sports. My wife hates when I do this. Wait, what? Hang on a second. I'm not sure I get this. How is it? Wait, where was the reference to trans people? I thought it was just like, oh, women are weak, men are strong. I don't even fucking know. I don't know. God, the other stuff that they're posting is Eat real food. This is just like an AI slop account. I mean, heaven knows what my blood is like, but I don't think it's as bad as Trump's. They've been posting loads about real food, introducing the new food pyramid. Doesn't American food just have like a comical amount of chemicals and shit in anyway? So I don't know. Jesus Christ. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. He's calling a yeah, I can understand that from what they're claiming. But they're like, oh, guy gets up, never lifted before. It doesn't really make sense. Bing, bing. I don't know. Not really very funny to me. Did any of you see this, though? Trump has lost his core constituency. The QAnon shaman is turning against Trump, which is truly interesting.
No.
So his real name is Jacob Chansley.
Are you still a Trump supporter?
No. I thought you knew that.
Why not?
The man alone refusing to release the Epstein client list was enough for me and I think a lot of other people to be like, okay, this is bullshit.
Jake brought us to a mountain overlooking Phoenix, where he says he sometimes performs his shamanic ceremonies.
So we're gonna hike a bit?
That's the hope and the prayer, right?
I think
If we're gonna hike though, I'm taking off my shirt.
America's not ready for me to take my shirt off.
I've been around with this headdress and the face paint and stuff. People are like, are you the guy?
You come up here a bit?
Yep, I love this spot. One of my favorite spots.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is cool. Looking back on Jan 6 now, how do you feel? Do you have any regrets? Do you regret that you went?
Not at all.
Even though you had prison, all that stuff?
Even though I had prison and all that stuff, no regrets. I don't live with regret.
You went to Washington because...
Okay, that's enough of that. But yeah, the QAnon shaman has turned on Donald Trump. Oh, I think this guy is just like a bit, you know, apparently he claims he's the real president. But yeah, American food is literally illegal in the UK now. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I know that this has always been spoken about. I remember when there was also this thing about chlorinated chicken. Did any of you see the video of Trump mocking Macron yesterday, which was kind of funny?
But I said to the,
Jesus Christ. Deals and Dollars has posted this.
I said to the France, I called up, as an example, France, just as an example, I like him, he's a nice guy. Emmanuel, you know Emmanuel Macron. I love the French accent. Emmanuel. They said, listen, you're going to have to raise your prices a little bit because we're paying 14 times more than you. That's a lot, right? We're paying numbers. In other words, we're making up for all of this deficit. No, Donald, I will not be able to. Mr. President.
You know what? Someone once told me as like that if you're bad at accents, it kind of just sounds like you're doing an offensive accent, whatever you're doing. Listen, his accent does not sound French here. Listen to this.
For all of this deficit. No, Donald, I will not be able to. Mr. President, please excuse me. Most of the people call me Mr.
It kind of sounds like he's doing an Indian accent here.
President, except for people that don't respect me, they call me Donald, which are probably a lot of them too. But they said, no. Putin calls me Mr. President. She calls me Mr. President. Emmanuel goes, no. We will not do that. Yes, you will, Emmanuel, 100%, because I was told they wouldn't do it. And this is, you can take Emmanuel and add up Hans, you can add up Ludwig, you can add every name in the book. It's all the same. The answer is no. We're not going to double our drug prices. Not for you or anybody else. I said, yes, you are, 100%.
He's just mocking them openly. But, you know, the EU will do nothing. Have any of you seen this as well? Actually, this is a quality YouTube video, right? This is a video by Ben Palmer. It's 3 minutes, so we're gonna watch it. It's truly amazing. She tried to report every Uber driver. Come on.
For reporting illegal immigrants. I made a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and people end up on the site thinking that it's real. And I talked to one lady who wanted to report every Uber driver that picked her up, claiming that they're all using fake driver's licenses to work for Uber.
So if they work for Uber, they have to scan their driver's license to sign up to...
So I'm not even sure Uber even knows what's going on. But I know out of 125 rides, and only 3 of them spoke enough English for me to understand.
So Uber's, I believe, one of the biggest tech companies in the United States. Pretty sure their technology is up to par as far as scanning driver's license. So those Uber drivers most likely are not illegal.
Well, this guy, there's a blue button. Once you pick up a rider, it says start ride, and the driver handed me his phone and said, what now? What do I do now? I said, hit the blue button. He said, hey? And I had to hit the start button for him.
So because of this one incident where the gentleman asked you to press the button, you now want to forcefully remove people from the country?
I don't know. I just thought out of 125 rides and only 3 of them. I'm not...
That is a lot of Uber journeys. I've lived in cities and I've taken nowhere near that amount of Uber journeys. But then again, I guess you can't walk anywhere in America, so the European mind can't even comprehend.
Saying those 3.
Also, by the way, this is actually a thing in the UK. Not really Uber drivers, but much more like Uber deliveries where things are... There's clearly some, like, trickery going on with it in terms of people basically being able to use it without having the proper ability to. At least back in the day, depending on the state, you didn't need to be a citizen to have a driver's license. I mean, also, it wouldn't surprise me if tacitly Uber did actually allow these things to happen. But simultaneously, it's not the people who do these things' fault. Like, it's not the people who engage in these, who, like, go and want to work. It's not their fault. They just want to work. And there are so many businesses and companies that do this anyway.
People were Americans, and if this makes me prejudiced, I'm sorry, but I thought that's what you was for. Did I respond to the wrong people? I didn't say anything about anybody being guilty of anything. I'm questioning why these people don't speak English. So that's what you're saying, I'm prejudiced? Is that what this phone call's all contributing down to? I want everybody kicked off the platform because one guy couldn't take me where I needed to go.
Were you not able to get to where you needed to go?
Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a huge issue. And I've seen, it's the same thing in the UK with deliveries. I don't know if Uber is, like, actually a thing. You are touching on a wildly aggravating topic. Oh, what, as in this Treatlerite discourse? Yeah, I mean, I can understand basically why some people are like, oh, it's, like, unsafe and you don't really, like, Uber doesn't really know who's delivering. However, simultaneously, you know, these companies are already just exploiting their workers, and that's probably the bigger issue.
I got there, but barely.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Don't waste my time no more. Thank you.
Okay, you have a wonderful day.
You're the one prejudiced, wanting these people living in my fucking country for free.
After that call, she left me a voicemail.
I've reported you to the FBI, the CIA, and the DOJ. Come after me. I want you to. I got something waiting on your ass, boy. It's going to be a big freaking cop sitting in my driveway, so you come on.
So I called her back to follow up on the experience.
You want to call me prejudiced now? Come to my face and say that, buddy. Come to my fucking face and say that.
Hi.
I'll have your ass blocked.
This is a woman who spiritually should have been on Xbox Live about 10, 15 years ago.
That's so fucking quick, your head will spin. I'm gonna blow this phone up till you're fucking arrested, you bitch.
I hope you're having a wonderful day. I just wanted to see if you were able to complete our survey to see how your experience was.
Oh, fuck you. I'm gonna give you a fucking survey. You're gonna get a survey.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your experience with us?
You're a piece of fucking shit, bitch, dumbass.
So that'd be a 1.
I would, I mean, very, very intriguing. This is a great video by Ben Palmer. I guess, you know, this is what Asmongold would be doing if he didn't get big on streaming. Like, this is what Asmongold would be doing, just ringing up hotlines and calling them, trying to get Uber drivers deported. I can guarantee you that much. Although, actually, I think if Asmongold wasn't rich, he would have contracted some kind of unbelievable illness from whatever's going on in his home. Like, I am sorry, cooking dead rats in your house. Pfft. Cooking dead rats that are cooking with sunlight. They must be maggot infested. That can't be true as well, because you would be contracting, like, the bubonic plague and shit. You know, every now and again, someone gets the bubonic plague from, like, eating a rock marmot or something. Asmongold is going to get it from doing unbelievable stuff.
I showed a No War with Venezuela protester how Venezuelans are celebrating in the street. Oh, no.
We're out here to say hands off Venezuela, and we unequivocally stand with the people of Venezuela against U.S. imperialist aggression.
What do you think about the people of Venezuela celebrating on the streets?
What?
What do you think about the people of...
What?
I saw images of Venezuelans being bombed after the U.S., bombed Caracas, so I'm not sure what you're talking about, but yeah, I think you should definitely...
Show me the bombings that you're talking about? I didn't see any.
I don't know, I just saw it on Reddit. It was on the front page of...
Imperialism. People celebrating on the streets here. What do you think about that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I stand with the people of Venezuela against U.S.
Okay, I'm having trouble with this membership goal. I'm going to put it under chat, actually, and it can go over Asmon's face rather than mine.
Imperialism. The U.S. has no right to bomb the people of Venezuela. The U.S. has no right to kidnap another...
NPC programming. NPC, and that's why you're going back to it. You default right back to your NPC programming whenever you get called out for being a retard. And here's a real video.
I also really am impressed. This guy is much more of an NPC than anyone else, and the term NPC is stupid. But anyway, every opinion that he has just comes down from the US government and far-right racists all over the world. That, some random guy in living in some random state in America is the actual problem in your life, rather than a government who is fucking over everyone. Like, not having the critical thinking to approach the fact of, yes, there are actually Venezuelans who feel differently in comparison to... However, overall, that changes nothing about the fact that the US continuing its action as its continuation as an imperialist power is objectively just a worse thing.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Asmongold leaves his mouth open like a trout. Thanks, Virtuous Path. Yeah, I mean... IQ of a trout.
From Venezuela.
Actually, that's offensive to trouts.
People are furious. Oh, of course, right? Of course there's going to be some people that are mad. Absolutely. The U.S. is not interested in freedom or democracy. It's interested in our...
Look, and on the topic of the R word, it's not something that I use. You will have noticed that. And if you say it in the chat, I will remove the comment, or a mod will. However, simultaneously, of all of the things Asmongold says and does, I think that this is genuinely nowhere near as bad about his rhetoric about, terrorizing the police and Somalis, all of the other heinous things he says, not to discredit it, but yeah.
Oil? Yeah, maybe you're right. But hey, if we got a bigger gun, then we're going to get it. That's just the way it is. What the United States does criminal? Oh yeah, they're going to interview Venezuelans that are over there and unhappy. But I think that everybody can see the overwhelming protests and things like that. They're going to try to make it look bad, but no, it was actually a very good thing.
The level of discourse going on between streamers is amazing.
Even though it costs civilian lives? Yeah, who gives a shit? If the thing is that if you're going to do this stuff, people are going to get killed. That's what's going to happen.
Well, civilian casualties is always a big no-no. What? I don't think... Guys, I think sometimes he tries to be really bold and be very, kind of rage baity with what he says, whatever. But I think there's a limit, though. When you're trying to, say that civilian casualties are fine, that's a big problem.
And...
Look at the level of condemnation going on. Civilian casualties is bad. Yes. Killing civilians is bad. But actually, what is worse is the US continuing to act in the way that it does. NPC says the IRL character of a cockroach man with a dead rat alarm. Charlie Kelly, thank you for the $5. Although I do have a question about this, and I said it earlier, I don't think you can possess a dead rat as an alarm. Your house would be putrid. And I mean, actually, there's someone who follows me on TikTok who does like free cleans for people who have like mental health issues or like problems. They're called Clean with B. They're actually a really big YouTuber as well. And they do like free cleans, and they're, you know, it's quite like a good thing in my opinion. Maybe someone would be able to problematize it and offer me an explanation of why it's not good. But however, some of the houses that she shows there are just horrifying, and the kind of filth that Asmongold is allegedly living in, I guess, is plausible.
Yeah, I showed an...
And it's not even like, you know, it's because he's depressed or something. He just seems to like it.
War of Venezuela.
I just want to see if I can find the thing where he's like, okay, here we go, here we go.
So Cuba's days are numbered. Colombia isn't going to be doing this anymore. Okay, yeah, I can see there's definitely a trend here. You specifically said you'd be against foreign intervention and nation building. Why have you switched positions? Well, I'm generally against it, but there are some instances where I'd be okay with it. It's pretty simple. Like, I think it's something that's generally a bad idea, but if we can get enough money out of the place that we're intervening in, and we can effectively make it worthwhile for us, then I'd be okay with it. Does that...
Oh, can you do a members only XQC impersonation stream? I can do it now. Hey guys, hey, I'm thinking, je flick around le clicker on le screen. Je suis excusez, and I am j'aime le streaming. J'aime le gambling. I know, and also, by the way, I just wanted to respond. I know that he said the dead rat thing, but like, surely you're getting diseases by letting animals just like rot in your home. I can't believe as well that loads of people thought this guy was a great source for coverage on like the Amber Heard trial, and that this man, has he ever been in a relationship? I don't even know. I don't know, but that he would somehow have some understanding that was worthwhile for hearing on the topic of, you know, an abusive relationship. Non, je parlais un petit peu français. Ce n'est pas tellement bien, mais je parlais un petit peu. There you go. That's how good I got during my GCSEs, where I was just able to basically, like, learn a bit of French to just prolong giving any kind of answer by saying, je ne sais pas exactement. He dated a sex worker. Huh, interesting. But sorry, I love his moral consistency of, like, if we can extract wealth from the country. By the way, not even something that is gonna happen with Venezuela. There will not be a huge extraction of wealth. It just isn't gonna happen. It's much more about, well, I know my opinion is seemingly changing every day, but I do genuinely think that it is an appeasement of this base, and maybe looking at Asmongold has a lot of merit here, because Asmongold has recently been someone who has been a little bit against Trump. Like, he hasn't been, you know, all in for his adoration and love of Trump. Like, I mean, I don't know if he gives a shit about the economy. I don't think he knows anything that's going on with that, because anyone who does would not be in favor of Trump. Trump talks a big game about investments, but he's really just enriching and fattening the pockets of himself and those around him. And the US economy is not going to get better thanks to tariffs. However, simultaneously, Asmongold is generally someone who's spoken about against Trump. He's been upset by the Epstein files. And now he's like, Trump is killing communists, almost.
That makes sense. So it's all about whether we're making money off of it. That's my primary function, is that I think about, is this good for Americans? And if it is, if it's making us money, it's beneficial for us, it's lowering our costs, or there's some other downstream effect of it, then yeah, I'd be okay with it. But us just going over there and doing it for no reason, no, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, there wasn't even regime change. You know, Rodriguez is still in power. Like, it doesn't really seem to have been the best thing to have done in terms of making money, because Chavez himself said, oh, I'm open to American business and stuff. I mean, maybe this guy is operating on a plane that most people don't know, because apparently one of the merits of Rodriguez is her skill in navigating sanctions and revitalizing the Venezuelan economy, but...
So, yeah. And but that's really that's my viewpoint on it. That's what I think. No pointless wars, period. Economical, logical interventions are fine. Yeah, exactly. And
it's also really funny because the argument would have been made for the Iraq war being economic and logical.
Even though it costs civilian lives, yeah, who gives a shit? Like, I mean, if the thing is that if you're gonna do this stuff, people are gonna get killed. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for sure.
It's really funny as well because I think with all of these people and their logic, right-wingers, you should follow it to their end point because a lot of people act as if, oh, there was no economic logic to what the Nazis were doing. They were making calculations about who you should keep alive. Not really with Jewish people, obviously that was a different case, but with a lot of Slavic people on the basis of, okay, if we have 3 people and we feed 3 of them 1,500 calories per day, they're probably not going to be good workers. But if we kill 2 of them, choose the person who has no family directly being killed so they're not going to be depressed and stuff. If we feed that one person a considerable amount, they will be able to work a lot. Like, I'm sorry, this kind of economic logic of, oh, I don't really care about the civilians that my regime deems inferior being killed if there's some economic and material benefit for me and the people around them, leads you to some very interesting places, to say the least. Mention verastend. I don't know what I don't know what it actually means. I mean, obviously it means person. Verastend. What does verastend mean? No donations, people kill everyone who couldn't be put to work. Yeah. And I guess also like people who can't work are obviously going to require support from a social safety net. What did Silent Scythe say? Not excusing him at all, by the way. He's an adult. He can change, but doesn't want to. I think Asman has mental health issues, and he's giving us all an example of what it looks like when you let hate and depression take over. Maybe. I mean, I don't know much about the guy. Apart from his horrible views about stuff. He is certainly a very bold individual.
And here's a real video from Venezuela.
But yeah, we don't have to cover much more of him, don't worry. We've got some fun videos. Oh yeah, I know a lot of people have been talking about this. When I first saw this video, I was watching it on mute, and I was like, this is AI, right? This is AI. Oh, actually, wait, quickly. I watched a Kurosawa film last night, which the name of which I have forgotten. Sanjuro. That's the best film I've watched in a while, by the way. Sanjuro, banger. I gave it a 5-star on Letterboxd. This one. If anyone's interested in a film to watch, I'm watching a ton of these Kurosawa films, and I've forgotten the name of the main actor. Toshiro Mifune. He's very good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a brilliant film. And the people in it had crazy haircuts. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Sanjuro is pretty good. We are going to watch High and Low. It was longer. And tonight I'm not going to watch anything because Chelsea are playing. But I was convinced, by the way, that this video was AI.
This is not just...
Like, I thought it was going to be AI because the account's posting it. I was like, oh, it's going to be some AI shit.
In a foreign issue, it's our tax dollars that are also being used to commit these war crimes. It is also the duty of us, the people, to stand against the Trump regime, the Trump administration that are committing crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela.
Now, in the background of this interview, you could see that police car. And now right here, we're showing you video we have immediately after the interview finished. Plickta was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers. You can see it in the video, and an officer...
I think this is just why I balk at anyone who centers a conversation around whether Maduro is like a bad guy, whether there was election interference, whether there were all of these things. Because realistically, that is not where any of these people's positions comes from, right? Because not only is the US in bed with murderous and torturous dictatorships, as I've mentioned over and over again, that are objectively more brutal than Maduro, But, like, this is going on in the US right now. And in the UK, it's going on right now. They're arresting journalists and stuff. And after we finish this, I'll show you my letterbox.
Tells Plicta that she
it's not AI.
is being arrested for obstructing a roadway and failure to obey a lawful command from a police officer. You can see as she's taken away in that car, she was issuing a number of messages about wanting the U.S. to free Maduro. But again, she was taken away by police officers there, and you can see in this video, officers were closely following this procession in downtown Grand Rapids. We have reached out to GRPD for more information about the arrest, but we have not heard back so far.
Okay, I'm really sorry, guys. I am just quickly going to go pee. I don't know why I'm so busted. I've had way too much to drink. I'll be back in, like, a second and enjoy the burger ice cream brought to you by Silent Scythe. There won't be any music because I really need to go now. No crazy war. No crazy war. Peace. No crazy war. Peace. No crazy war. No crazy war. Peace. No crazy war. Right. Okay, quickly, you can have a look at my letterboxd. So, I'll just show you the main thing, and people have found the link anyway. It's not the end of the world. This is my letterbox. Here's a very old photo of me. Here are my top films: Apocalypse Now, Blue Velvet, Certified Copy, The Lives of Others, which I don't know if I'd put in there. I might actually put The Conversation up there. I saw Marty Supreme recently, gave it 4.5. Watched The Big Short, gave it 4. Saw Pillion, gave it 4.5, and gave Sanjuro 5. But yeah, if you want to check it out, it's there. Did you have a nice pee? It was good. It was good. It was relieving. I'm very, 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 very desperate. Or I was very desperate. But yeah, I just think on this video of someone being arrested in the streets, I think it is increasingly evident that the US and Western society is sliding deeper and deeper into authoritarianism at home while simultaneously maintaining the same positions and even worsening them internationally. I love Apocalypse Now. Yeah, Apocalypse Now, I think there is an argument to be made. It's like a pro-war film, that it has its problems, but yeah. Apocalypse Now is so sorry. I really just love Apocalypse Now. I've seen it 2 times. I saw it once in IMAX, and I've seen it 3 times, actually. 4 times, maybe. But I saw it in IMAX, and it was just fantastic. Bragged about killing Michael Rioni. I don't remember that, no. I don't remember when Trump bragged about that, I've got to say. Right, what was I going to look at? Oh, wait. Have any of you seen this story? This is an amazing story. Well, it's not really amazing. It's like an almost unbelievable story. What's a hard watch? Blue Velvet is very good. Blue Velvet is like a 10 out of 10 film. Where was that video from, by the way? I briefly saw it on IG or something, but I got confused about the accent. It's somewhere in the US. I'm not actually sure where. So someone has been removed or is potentially facing being kicked out of their university for saying "rip to bro" in response to someone sending this is the email chain anyway. So a student called Finley Reese is in trouble for sending "rip to bro" crying cat emoji. And this is the message that was begun. In light of the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, we will be holding a candlelight vigil service tonight to honor his life and legacy. His life and legacy is just racism and bigotry. We recognize that Charlie Kirk's views and ideology sparked strong disagreement, and that members of our community hold a wide range of perspectives on his work. His work was spewing Nazi-like rhetoric about any minority he could get his hands on. This gathering is not about politics or debate. Rather, it is an opportunity to come together peacefully and respectfully to remember the aspects of his life that resonated deeply with many, particularly his devotion to faith and his commitment to family values. Right, yeah. Whatever your views may be, this vigil is a time for us to come together against all forms of political violence in the country we love. Did this guy ever, speak out massively against, Steven Crowder? Steven Crowder abused his wife, right? There's literally a video of Steven Crowder doing exactly that. But I'm sure that's okay because that's family values, isn't it? And what I will say is, and I will give this person the benefit of the doubt because they did not know, but his wife is clearly not that upset. Oh, good to see you, Riverwand. But indeed, we are all Charlie Kirk. We are all Charlie Kirk. But yeah, just listening to this from someone who's like, oh, I'm against political violence of all forms. Charlie Kirk was never against that. His wife was literally seemingly happy to see the back of him. Kirk. I'm sure many of you saw this. Loads of people have been talking about this, making a joke. Erica Kirk stages of grief. Just throwing out merch to people. I am sorry, she does not come across in any capacity like a grieving widow. And I do understand people grieve differently and stuff, but come on, this is a joke. This is a joke. Who said he would force his underage daughter to have a potential pregnancy to term if she was... Who up Kirking there, Charlie? Oh yeah, I be Kirking that shit to capacities that have not been seen. You start right. Keep the stream time now. You start right when I start work. So thank you. Great way to pass doing any work. Just watching Chris K YouTube channel. The candlelight service will take place on the museum steps this evening, Sunday, September 14th, at 7:15. All members of the Bowdoin, is that what it's called? Bowdoin community are welcome to join in reflection and remembrance. In moments like this, it is important to create a space for mourning, even amidst disagreement, and to affirm the shared humanity that binds us all in faith, your peers. There's someone who I was at school with, who's a YouTuber as well, and they make videos that are about Christianity, and they were like, oh, I lost one of my spiritual guides when Charlie was killed. And I was like, brother, if that is your spiritual guide, I hate to see what you're actually thinking about. I hate to see what you're being guided towards. Is it which part of Charlie Kirk's rhetoric spoke to you? Is it when he talked about prowling blacks? Prowling blacks who wanted to attack white women? I don't know. But yeah, so Finley Reese had the audacity to respond, "Rip to bro, crying catter emoji." This is the circle of life. Your boss is basically there paying you, and instead of doing work, you watch the Chris K YouTube channel, and you actually educate yourself and gain a kind of payment that is far, far larger. Guide to racism. Yeah, guide to Christian racism. And so, yeah, Finley Reese had the audacity to say, rip to bro. Apparently, a student reported the message as a direct threat to their life. Let's be clear, rip to bro doesn't come close to a true threat. Under the law, it's protected expression. So this is the fire letter to Bowdoin College. And yeah, it's quite funny because reading it like this, rip to bro, and then it's the actual apple crying cat emoji is truly amazing. On September the 16th, a campus safety and security officer met with a student organizer from Bowdoin Conservatives about the upcoming vigil. At this meeting, the student reported receiving Reese's email. Another student from the organization reported receiving the same email, which the student characterized as a threat. The latter student also told campus security that Reese's language was unkind. On September 24th, an officer emailed Reese asking him to explain what he had meant by the email. Reese replied, "I am not entertaining this." The officer replied, "Thank you for the response, which we will document." Then, on October the 7th, a campus safety followed up by asking one of the Bowdoin Conservatives members to document his interpretation of Reese's email. That student said the email contained a mocking crying cat emoji. The student also interpreted this message as a direct threat to their life. By the way, I saw some Israeli comedian making a joke, and he was like, Palestinians are perpetual victims. That's all they know how to do. In the case of American conservatives, Zionists on campus, many of whom are just American conservatives, by the way, these are literally just people who victimize themselves, who cry, who pretend that they are the victims of the biggest violence that no one else has experienced, whilst Palestinian students receive no protection. And many of these people, by the way, who are pro-Israel, like Zionists on campus, are not students on visas. They're not students in precarious situations. They are quite literally just, rich people who have lived very sheltered lives, who are middle class, who the threat to their life is people speaking out negatively against the state of Israel, but yet every university campus will be like, don't you dare send them a crying cat emoji. Hello, Addy P. That is illegal. Ray, no. What did you do, Ray? I know that you would have reported on it no matter what, but being the one who told you about the Charlie Cut makes me feel like it's my fault that we're still talking about him. Oomph. I think that there is something that we should also be talking about in terms of Charlie Kirk, that, his legacy matters in the sense of he was a racist bigot discarded for the next racist bigot to come along. I think that that's his legacy. It's meaningless, but there are certainly comical aspects of it, that 100% of what happened to him, what happened to him post his death, like his wife just disrespecting his legacy, but yeah. Right. Do you condemn hat emoji? Why you no love Charlie? Simultaneously perpetual victims and Israel's greatest threat, literal terrorists. I mean, also, every single literal threat that is apparently the thing that means that we have to offer sympathy for Israelis, by the way, is just a product of occupation. Like, I think that is something that is more than worth stating and more than worth discussing and highlighting. People who say that that Israel is afraid of Hezbollah, that they are afraid of Hamas, that they are afraid of Iran, that they are afraid of the Houthis, that they are afraid of terrorist attacks, that they are afraid of this and that. Before there was ever major Palestinian militancy inside Israel's borders carried out through, like suicide bombings and all of these things, Israel was still occupying Palestine. Israel was still refusing any kind of meaningful solution. And it produces these anxieties that then I, as a Westerner, and someone who wants Israel to change fundamentally and really no longer exist, you know, I am meant to take account of those anxieties and upset. It feels really difficult for someone like me to do because it's facing a reality in which Israel is abusing Palestinians. And Ramelia, I suggest you have rethink that. Ramelia, sorry. I suggest you rethink that emoji. That emoji can be reinterpreted as a threat to life. The heart eyes cat emoji is, you know, a threat of things that are awful. It is a threat of coming up and kissing me, and I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, insane story, but genuinely that doesn't surprise me. University administrations simultaneously tell you that Zionists are the most threatened people in the world and are also, and anyone who threatens them is just evil, regardless of the situation that they may actually be in, regardless of the situation if they are much more likely to be victims of racism. And someone asked about the, West Bank raid. Yeah, I'll cover that. There isn't too much on that, but it's still worth covering. But have a look at this one. This is Narco Rubio. By the way, did you guys know this? I saw someone mention this, but I didn't mention this previously. Narco Rubio's brother was a brother-in-law, was a prolific drug trafficker, one of the biggest in South Florida, and he apparently stored kilos of cocaine in the bedroom of a house where Rubio lived, which is insane, but it doesn't surprise me. That's why people are calling him Narco Rubio. Even the Miami Times has reported on this. There's a fucking hell. I hate the pop-ups. Piss off, Miami Times. A reminder that Narco Rubio's brother-in-law was a prolific cocaine trafficker. Cocaine. He looks bizarre here.
I'm not here to talk about Denmark or military intervention. I'll be meeting with them next week. We'll have those conversations with them then. And but I'm not having anything further to add to that today.
Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers this week?
Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that is examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there. But so I just reminded them of the fact that not only did Truman want to do it, but President Trump's been talking about this since his first term. I'm not here to talk about Denmark or military intervention.
Okay, I was seeing if the membership goal worked. It didn't. But Terra Trove Tales, thank you for the membership. And Sinister, enjoy your access to new emojis. Thank you as always, Terra. Enjoy your access to some of the new emojis, including my favorites. Well, actually, it's hard to pick a favorite, but there's a lot of great ones in here. Trying to get Elab a membership. Enjoy the lottery. Yeah, unfortunate. So basically, I messed up the stream, delayed it by 20 minutes, and was literally... by the way, I was so worried that my stream was going to turn on, because you don't hear me get angry. Maybe if I play more Dark Souls, you might hear me get angry. But, like, I was there like, fucking, what is this? Like, why can't I turn my PC on, blah, blah, blah. Oh, why can't I get this to work? And it's just, the membership goal doesn't even work. So, what can you do? How is Narco Rubio... What? He's 54 years old. When I search Marco Rubio on my PC, it comes up with Marco Rubio gay phone parties. Hold on. I need to hide my screen for a second. Some of the gay phone parties I've been looking on cannot show here. I can't save this in the way I'd hoped. Right. Here's a photo of Narco Rubio. Is that his wife? I have no idea. I'm liking the comments. The tyranny and terrorism of USA must be stopped ASAP. The ethnic cleansing, kidnapping, colonizing, throwing out governments for kicks or for oil and land or on behalf of the colonial state of Israel. An orange man wreaking havoc on planet Earth just because he could. He violates international law and makes new ones. And he goes, Afghanistan, Iran, Nigeria, Somalia, Libya, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Iraq, Yemen. What a disgrace. You should not be calling yourself a proud Latino. Does Marco Rubio call himself a proud Latino? I have no I have no idea. And yeah, his wife is a bit of a baddie. Fair play, Marco Rubio. Maybe as everyone claims, it'll be a honeypot by Israel, but I highly doubt that. Honeypot by Cuba into tricking him into engaging in ridiculous invasions that weaken the power of the United States. States? What am I talking about? How do these freaks keep getting baddies? Because there are a lot of pretty people who are not very nice simultaneously, you know? Yeah. Who are just not very nice people. By the way, I know we haven't really got into any serious news. I hope that people are enjoying this kind of like just sort of browsing stream and stuff. Not everybody knows her worth, sadly. Yeah, unfortunately, terrible people can be pretty. I think you said that just as I was typing that.
Nos acusa a nosotros, a mí me acusan de patrocinar el terrorismo. Son ellos los que patrocinan el terrorismo. Aprovecho para condenar de nuevo, desde el fondo de mi alma y de mis vísceras, al Estado de Israel. Maldito seas, Estado de Israel.
This is a base statement. This is why they had to do away with the Bolivarian Revolution, or they're trying to, because they condemn the damn state of Israel. Damn you, Israel. It really is a pity that Chavez died so young.
Maldito sea, terroristas y asesinos. Y viva el pueblo palestino. Pueblo heroico, pueblo bueno.
I am going to say, any government that doesn't just bootlick Israel is always going to be enjoyed by me, because I think loving Israel is objectively a bad thing, and yeah, he's louder than me.
Ustedes no ven el imperio yanqui. Ustedes no ven la masacre que el Estado genocida de Israel cometió.
Have you seen the Yankee Empire? Who hasn't at this point? And yeah, but based Chavez. Based.
Contra un grupo de pacifistas que iban llevando una carga humanitaria al pueblo palestino que está en Gaza, rodeado por todos lados por Israel. No les permiten ni agua. Masacraron una gente ahí, ustedes lo vieron, ¿verdad? Bueno, vean ustedes Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos lo que dijo es que está preocupado. Están preocupados. Imagínense, Alcalá, Dios nos libre, que eso hubiera ocurrido en aguas venezolanas. Ya estaríamos invadidos. Tengan la seguridad que ya nos hubieran invadido.
I also really love, like, just looking at Chavez's rhetoric versus all the other people's. I really love this notion that Iran, Hezbollah, Russia, Hamas even, according to certain people, have invaded and have taken over Venezuela, when it's like very obvious that the country that can sanction, that can cause all of these problems for Venezuelan people is the United States. Like, objectively, if you're crying allegedly about the Iranian occupation or influence over Venezuela, you are not serious, because it is very obvious that the larger problem comes from the United States. We can look at history. We can look at the present. They are the ones who ruin the politics of every country they get their hands on.
Pero no, como es Israel, se le permite de todo. Entonces, ese es un ejemplo de doble moral. El gobierno de Obama condena el terrorismo, siempre y cuando no sea cometido por ellos mismos. Ahora, fíjense ustedes, la oposición venezolana no ha dicho ni nada contra...
Like, I don't think I'm irony poisoned in the capacity of just thinking anything that is anti-West is good. But I can never sit there and find any excitement in anything that is just not unequivocally anti-Western imperialism, you know? Like, how am I supposed to be, like, excited by, you know, the Labour Party in the UK when they're just like, yeah, we're going to bootlick Trump and, oh, you can't condemn Israel, or we send you to prison.
Israel, no, que Israel financia a la oposición venezolana, financia la contrarrevolución.
I thought I already had a message. Do you want me to replace yours, Silent Scythe? But I'll just do it.
Incluso.
No. This video must be 2010. When was 2009, 2010? Because he's talking about the Freedom Flotilla.
Hay grupos de terroristas israelíes del Mossad que andan detrás de mí, tratando de matarme. Tratando de matarme.
And like, once again, Silent Scythe, sorry. I mean, I'm tired, okay? That must be the answer. I was reading, like, I was just trying to read through things. I was trying to read through, like, different articles this morning just about Venezuela, and one by The Guardian about Delcy Rodriguez popped up. And there's just this comical part at the end. Though fearful, so this is Juan Carlos, an administrative manager at an internet company in Caracas. If you go out and celebrate, they'll arrest you. Before I came out today, I deleted all my chats on my WhatsApp groups because you never know if they might stop you at a roadblock. Though fearful, he was overjoyed at Maduro's downfall. We've been enduring this for 25 years, since the Chavistas came to power, asking ourselves, when will this be over? Justice may be slow, but eventually it arrives, he said as he queued outside a grocery store, hoping to stock up on basics in case there was more turbulence. What are you talking about? Over and over again, he won democratic elections. Like, Chavez won democratic elections. And the best that The Guardian, a left-leaning publication, can pull up is just, oh, here's some guy, Juan Carlos, and someone who is, like, upset with, someone who is, like, claiming that this is the same thing today as it was then. Categorically, Chavez was very popular and did beneficial things for the vast majority of Venezuelans. The only people who weren't really happy about it were, like, an elite class. And once again, The War on Democracy by John Pilger is pretty good. Which I had to pay to watch, I think, but it was pretty good, talking about, like, Venezuela. It's very good. But yeah, and here's Zay Squirrel telling us about Isaac Herzog, who is currently the chair of he's the president of Israel.
Hi, Abe. I wanted to ask you, since we met last, about the issue of Venezuela, because I heard voices kind of saying it's not so bad, and Latin America is not so bad, but I'm not convinced. And the question is,
oh, this is 2009, so this may have even been response to the Chavez video you just saw.
Good reason not to be convinced. Good reason. It is getting worse.
Right.
And little by little, as long as oil money works.
I'm told that by our experts, it's the only, except for Iran, it's the only government propagated anti-Semitism today around the world. It's a
Oh, I actually cannot believe that you have to... The film is called The War on Democracy. I actually cannot believe that this was ever taken seriously by huge swathes of people. That, like, the propagation of anti-Semitism by Venezuela, by the way, just categorically untrue as well, was somehow a bigger threat and a more important form of racism to be talking about than what was happening to Venezuelan people. But, you know, who knows?
Formally, right.
This is
First,
quite
within the country and then outside.
So are you pressing in any way?
We've talked to Jesse Jackson, who has a relationship but it's not for camera, but there are other plans.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
Oh, Isaac Herzog looks so young there. And then here's an old video of Hugo Chavez, which I was going to play.
Fox News, President. Fox.
¿Tú de dónde eres?
Where do you come from?
I work for Fox News.
Fox News, President. Fox.
Me río de Fox News.
I love when I see people from
¿Sabe
Fox
cómo lo
News.
llamó
I
Sean
laugh at
Penn?
you.
Sean
You know
Penn.
how Sean Penn
Sean
called
Penn
you?
dijo los estúpidos de Fox
The
News.
stupid people from Fox News. That's the way they call
No
you.
tú, no tú.
Not you,
No
of course,
tú.
not you. Of course not. Fox News.
Tu pregunta, tu elaboración es artificiosa.
Is artificious.
Tu mente tiene ahí
Your
confusiones,
mind has many confusions, perhaps.
veneno.
Yesterday,
Poison.
sir, we heard Ahmadinejad again
Ayer,
deny the Holocaust,
una
sir.
vez más,
We all heard it.
Ahmadinejad
My mind is fine.
negó el holocausto. Mi mente está bien, presidente. Él mismo lo repitió ayer.
It's also really funny because Fox News and all of these people deny America's crime of, genociding all of the indigenous people. You know, how many people were genocided across the Americas by the ilk and the American empire, and how many people continue to be exterminated?
Sir, we saw the pictures coming from Iran.
Vimos las
People getting killed in the streets of Iran.
People getting killed in the streets of Iran. Oh, yeah, of course, Iranian regime is repressive. Undeniably. But simultaneously, this is a pro-American, pro-Israel government. Israel is a far bigger killer of the violent or non-violent opposition towards it than Iran is, categorically.
Cómo mataban a la gente en las calles de
My
Irán.
mind is fine. I
Yo
think
creo que mi mente
the
está
people
bien.
who ask
La
these
gente-
questions are
¿Y tú
fine.
no has visto las imágenes en Irak? Cómo
Have you
matan los
seen
soldados
the
yanquis
images
a
in
los
Iraq?
niños.
How
¿Tú has
the
visto?
Americans are
Sir,
killing
please.
¿Tú has visto?
people
¿Tú
in
has visto
Iraq?
eso?
We can
Have you
talk about
seen
Iraq
Tú has
another
visto, y tu
time.
canal de
Have you
televisión
seen
lo que hizo
that?
fue tapar ese.
And also, just citing, obviously a heinous historical atrocity that was produced by racism as a means to condemn Chavez when, simultaneously you are still perpetrating atrocities whilst you are simultaneously perpetrating atrocities in Iraq at this time is insane,
Ese crimen. Tú no dices nada del presidente que tuviste, que es un genocida, George Bush. Ustedes lo apoyaron y están criticando a Bush, están criticando a Obama porque es negro. Entonces tu mente está llena de veneno. Está llena de veneno. Ustedes no dijeron nada de los asesinatos en Irak y en Afganistán y en América Latina.
Hell for Michelle, thank you for the one membership. And I got your name correct there. Thanks for the gifted as always. It's not going towards the membership goal, but, worth it for destroying the stream. But Sheila Parmuk, enjoy the gifted sub. You're always here, so you're a very lucky recipient. I mean, everyone who got one us today has been a very lucky recipient.
El genocidio de los indios de América Latina y el genocidio de los indios de aquí, de Estados Unidos, ¿dónde está? Ustedes lo ocultan, digan la verdad al mundo. Yo soy amigo de mis amigos, no es nada.
If you could answer my question.
And also, first of all, translator, yes, incredibly based. Someone who mentioned that he had insane charisma, undeniable. And I don't think Chavez, with Yasser Arafat, I've seen some pretty intelligent people who I do trust and believe in the work of very heavily say Yasser Arafat was potentially poisoned. I think there's something to do with a urine stain that may have had plutonium or some kind of thing in it. But apparently Chavez just died of cancer. I think that's what it came down to. He just had cancer and died, and it's really unfortunate. It's gutting. And it's sad. And yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks. So, do you know as well, actually, do you want to know the comedy of America? As the financial crisis was getting fully into swing in 2008, George Bush was just addressing the UN. This may even be from a similar address. And he was like, we're doing glorious things in the war on terror. Oh, everything we're doing here is amazing and perfect, and yes, 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 yes. And it was like he just ignored the financial crisis. And even the Europeans who were there were a bit like taken aback because they were like, the global financial system might be collapsing. And it only really didn't collapse as well. However bad he may have been and however imperfect the response may have been, Ben Bernanke, I believe is the name of the guy who was put in power. He was he'd written his PhD thesis and was an expert in the Great Recession of 1929, 28, the Great Depression, sorry, not Great Recession. But that's what he was like an expert in, and hence why they were able to like save it in some capacity. However, obviously, that's not like a justification for the response being good. And so many horrible people live to be so old, and then amazing people die so young. Yes, Frantz Fanon is a fantastic example of this. Frantz Fanon, if you didn't know, obviously like a very profound psychoanalysis whose work was groundbreaking for, 1950, and to this day remains, if you have the opportunity and the time to read it, it's not actually very long, most of it, it is really, really powerful and very relevant to this day. And yet, yeah, as you mentioned, Henry Kissinger gets to live to near enough 100, whereas Frantz Fanon died of leukemia at the age of 36 in Bethesda, Maryland. Could this be to do with Fallout 3? I don't know. But yeah, I'd highly recommend Fanon. I'd recommend The Wretched of the Earth, Black Skin, White Masks. What's his book called? Dying Colonialism is very good. Those are the three that I've read. And like lots of people talking about Fanon. He didn't really produce that much because he died so young. You can also read Aimé Césaire, who lived to a far grander age of 94. Very, very, very interesting guy. Qualitative easing was robbing. Yeah. I don't disagree with you that the way in which they look. But what I'm saying is from how catastrophic people thought that the financial crisis was going to be initially versus how it ended up not being the full collapse of the global financial system. He did do some at least thing right, and certain economists I've heard say this. However, that doesn't mean everything was great and that I really agree with everything he did. But then again, I'm not enough of an expert fully on economics to fully answer and fully give an explanation.
Tuvo el diablo aquí.
Oh no, this is 2006.
En este mismo lugar huele a azufre todavía. Esta mesa donde me ha tocado hablar. Ayer, señoras, señores, desde esta misma tribuna, el señor presidente de los Estados Unidos, a quien yo llamo el diablo, vino aquí hablando como dueño del mundo. ¿Qué modelo de democracia es ese el que se impone a punta de marines, de invasiones, de agresiones y de bombas? A donde quiera que él mira ve extremistas. Yo estoy seguro que te ve a ti, hermano, con ese color y cree que eres un extremista.
It is just very obvious that this guy is far more based than Machado, cared far more about creating a world of dignity and respect and equality, but, doesn't matter actually. doesn't matter actually. Machado is the way forward.
Con este color, Evo Morales, que vino ayer, el digno presidente de la Bolivia, es un extremista. No es que somos extremistas. Lo que pasa es que el mundo está despertando y por todos lados insurgimos los pueblos. El señor...
I will say as well, this guy, Maduro does not have the source of Chavez at all. The dancing's cool and stuff, but yeah.
Presidente vino a hablarle...
Yeah, definitely. The lack of consequence is obviously something major. But I guess it is just the argument that I've seen made is basically that just, it wasn't as heinous as it could have been. But you are right, it hasn't fixed any issues. But to be honest, I think most suffering in the world and most of the issues that we face, unfortunately, are just products of capitalism, and that the way forward is something that is not this.
Así lo dijo. Hoy quiero hablarles directamente a las poblaciones del Oriente Medio. Mi país desea la paz. Esto es cierto. Si nosotros nos vamos por las calles del Bronx, si nosotros nos vamos por las calles de Nueva York, de Washington, de San Diego, de California.
Oh, there is Maduro.
De cualquier ciudad, de San Antonio, de San Francisco, y le preguntamos a la gente en las calles, a los ciudadanos estadounidenses, este país quiere la paz. La diferencia está en que el gobierno de este país, de Estados Unidos, no quiere la paz. Quiere imponernos su modelo.
I wasn't shit-talking Maduro. I think it is just a very clear observation that Chavez is a better speaker than Maduro.
De explotación y de saqueo y su hegemonía a punta de guerras. Quiere la paz. ¿Y qué está pasando en Irak? ¿Y qué ha pasado en el Líbano y en Palestina? ¿Y qué ha pasado en 100 años, pues? En América Latina y en el mundo. Y ahora las amenazas contra Venezuela, nuevas amenazas contra Venezuela, nuevas amenazas contra Irán. ¿Qué le dirían esos pueblos a él? Si esos pueblos pudieran hablar, ¿qué le dirían? Yo se los voy a recoger porque conozco la mayor parte del alma de esos pueblos, los pueblos del sur, los pueblos atropellados. Dirían, Imperio Yankee, go home.
How did he...
Imperio Yankee.
Imperio Yankee, go home.
Go home. Ese sería el grito que brotaría por todas partes si los pueblos del mundo pudieran hablarle a una sola voz al imperio de los Estados Unidos.
Fantastic. I bet Al Jazeera Plus have the gall to fucking copyright my video for showing that. And it's like not something that they ever made. By the way, so apparently Al Jazeera's reporting was pretty crazy around Venezuela, like the stuff that they were posting. Okay, right. So let's get into the news. Let's. Oh wait. Actually, this is the thing. I really want to see this. So there's loads of Marco Rubio shit, but it hasn't been released as like a full video. So I'm just gonna pull up a couple clips.
Some senators who were in that briefing describing your operation variously as that you're winging it, that there's no plan for Venezuela going forward.
Yeah, I know. They're going to say that. I used to be a senator too. That's what you always say when it's the other party. The bottom line is we've gone into great detail with them about the planning. We've described it to them. In fact, it's not just winging it. It's not just saying or speculating it's going to happen. It's already happening. Like the oil arrangement that we've made with PDVSA on their sanctioned oil that they can't move. Understand, they are not generating any revenue from their oil right now. They can't move it unless we allow it to move because we have sanctions, because we're enforcing those sanctions. This is tremendous leverage. We are exercising it in a positive way. The president described it last night. Secretary Wright will have more to say on it today, who is involved in running this portfolio. And we feel very positive that not only will that generate revenue that will be used to the benefit of the Venezuelan people, and we're ensured that that's what the case is, but it also gives us an amount of leverage and influence and control over how this process moves forward.
I mean, once again, it's funny that he kind of elucidates something there that is true about what he's also saying. He's like, oh, if it's the other party, you just say whatever. Like, literally, just because it's... Just because it's your party, you're sitting there justifying it. There's no other decent explanation as to why this is going on. Let's just look at Trump's statement. Oh, okay, wait. There's also some of his statements. Some of his demands. Someone just posted, Aaron Bastani. Shut up, Aaron Bastani. I mean, it's true. I don't like you, though. Hey, Sophie. Nice to see you. Farto Rubio. Yes. No, Narco Rubio's the far more appropriate name. MKMT. I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America. Bro has to fund his drug addiction in some way. This guy is... The way he was behaving in that interview, the amount of money that he needs is... Woof. It's crazy. And it's also crazy to just say controlled by me. You're senile, bro. as President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to the benefit of the people of Venezuela and the United States. I have asked Energy Secretary Chris Wright to execute this plan immediately. It will be taken by storage ships and brought directly to unloading docks in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump. Okay, according to Rachel V. Scott, who is a White House senior political correspondent, these are some of the demands. Trump administration told Venezuela's interim president the regime must meet several conditions before being allowed to pump more oil, according to 3 people familiar with the administration's plan. Among these demands...
It is utterly ridiculous.
Wow. Hold on. Look at me. MAGA is the captain now. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember where I read this. Francis Drake is the greatest pirate in human history, and he's remembered as like a great British hero. He was basically just someone who attacked the Spanish Armada, and, you know, that was what he did. But, you know, he of course, he's great because he was British, and he wasn't some black guy from Somalia, frankly. But thanks for the 7 months, Trevor Trove tells. Crazy it's been 7 months of this. Is that 7 months? Is that from the first ever stream I did? But yeah, among those demands, the country must kick out China, Russia, Iran, Cuba, and sever economic ties. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I think that part of what they are going for is also they are hoping to destabilize Venezuela by putting Rodriguez in, someone who has not navigated the situation, who has not navigated sanctions, unrest, does not have the same, perhaps, like, unifying power as Maduro does. I mean, I'm not enough of an expert on, like, Bolivarian politics in Venezuela, I guess. But I don't think they can kick out China. They owe huge amounts of money to China. Adam Tooze. Hold on, I'm just going to pull this up, actually, because I want to see how much they owe to China. China, like, developed a lot of Venezuelan oil. Hold on. Where is this? Oh, fucker. Oh, fuck. Where is this? Okay, I can't find what I was looking for. But anyway, China have huge... like, Venezuela has a lot of money that is owed to China. But anyway, I don't think they're going to kick out Russia and Iran. And Cuba, severing economic ties is not as important as you might have first imagined. Venezuela must agree to partner exclusively with the US on oil production and favor America when selling heavy crude. It is just insane that there are a huge amount of people who are, like, supportive of this, who continually make it look like this is normal in any way. In any way. Right, this is, someone said, Javier Blas said, ignore the oil tanker seizures. That's a distraction. The below is truly the news of the day on Venezuelan oil. Read what U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright just said at the Goldman Sachs Energy Conference. My quick transcript of the key questions. Oh, the membership goal worked. It worked. We're 1% of the way. It's just not working for gifted. So this is apparently what he said. The plan to get 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned Venezuelan crude. I am really impressed. No, that's in the way, so I guess I need it down here. Okay, right. I'm working directly in cooperation with the Venezuelans, and we are going to... This is the crude that's backed up in storage and in offshore floating storage. We are going to get that crude moving again and sell it. just like we do in our businesses. We are going to market the crude coming out of Venezuela, first this backed up stored oil, and then infinitely going forward, we will sell the production that comes out of Venezuela into the marketplace. We will have the US as the supplier of diluent that has to come down there to enable this production. We are going to have that flowing again, and as we make progress with the government, we will enable the import of parts, equipment, and services to prevent the industry from collapsing, stabilize the production, and then as quickly as possible to start to see it grow again. And of course, in the long run, to create the conditions that the major American companies that were there before, maybe they weren't before, but will go in again. Oh, it was indefinitely, not infinitely. Hey, hiya, Hiahi? Thanks for making it to a stream. Glad to see you. Is this just America taking an entire country hostage? Yes. Yes, that is what this boils down to. It is America taking a country hostage. There's no shame in there. Remember in Iraq they pretended it wasn't for resources. Trump isn't even acting. It's also just huge money spinners like an invasion and an occupation. They don't really give a shit about a small amount of money that they're going to make. Holy shit as well. Department of Homeland Security tweeted this yesterday, and apparently ICE agents just shot and killed a legal observer. Oh my god, this genuinely is the most Israel-coded administration ever to have existed. Received reports of a shooting by an ICE agent in my district. I'm on site gathering verified information. Hold on. Actually, I could do my hide camera thing here. Okay, hold on. I'm on site gathering verified information. I'm deeply concerned that that a doctor was denied the ability to provide life-saving CPR by federal law enforcement. The reason I say this is the most Israel-coded administration ever is because that is the kind of thing Israel loves to do, to prevent there from being life-saving critical care for people. Quite a lot because it's government contracts and resources. Yeah, and also Citigo and his friend Paul Singer, who literally donated to the administration.
It is utterly
just
ridiculous.
Receiving huge amounts of money. Marilyn, thank you for becoming a member. And I need to get the... Okay, so the goal does actually work. Maybe it was worth breaking the stream for, but yeah, okay, that's kind of cool.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Benjamin Khoury, wow, we're on a bit of a streak. Thank you for becoming a member. Enjoy the membership and thank you for supporting both of you, the Chris K YouTube channel. Yeah, there was another, I think, non-fatal ICE shooting in Baltimore area not too long ago. I mean, speaking of this topic of ICE shooting people, I don't know if any of you saw this. There's just a video of an alleged ICE agent with an SS tattoo on his head. So that's cool. And him getting pressed. This is in r/ICE Watch.
Old now.
See this fucking shit.
Dude.
Where's that fucking tattoo? Let me see this fucking shit.
Yeah. Look at that. That is just SS Thunderbolts.
Get the fuck in your truck and get the fuck out of this city, dog.
Dude.
I mean it, bro. Don't make me fucking get on the phone and start calling people, because I'll have half this fucking city come down here and take you the fuck apart.
Well, dude, I'm not even from nowhere around. We just come
fuck
through.
Off, Nazi. Get in your truck and leave. Your whole fucking crew, Nazis?
No, man, we're not even from here.
Where the rest of them, man?
Texas.
Yeah?
No, they're not.
Go back to fucking Texas.
Dude, I had this done years ago.
I know, and it's...
that is not an excuse, just going, oh, I had this done years ago.
Still on your fucking face,
because
bro.
I've
seen that before.
I've not had time. Bro, if you've got an SS tattoo and you no longer agree with that, you best be getting that taken off straight away. I don't think you would be going, yeah, sorry, I've just not had time to get this shit off.
Or I seen your fucking eyes, dog. Get the fuck out of my city, or I will fucking end you. Look at this fucking Nazi piece of fucking shit walking down fucking Lindale, bro. Yeah, get the fuck on. I see you, doggy. You're not gonna fucking last long in this fucking city, cunt boy.
Oh, let's see if Ice Watch have any reporting on this. Oh.
Yeah, I know, man.
Apparently they shot the lady after attempting to abduct her. Greg Bovino was on the scene. I'm not going to show any videos because worried about gore, but yeah, apparently there's been an ICE shooting. Hold on.
I know, man.
Jesus. I mean, I feel like that, the thing that I mentioned yesterday, that article that's like, oh, a big part of this is about creating, like, creating civilians as enemies of the state. Let's see this.
Flying by me, so I'm like, something's happening over here, so.
Yeah. And what did you
I'm
see exactly
shaking.
yourself?
I didn't witness, but I talked to several people that witnessed it, and they heard the gunshot. And the one guy said that they reached for her door handle, and then she took off, and then he shot her through the windshield and shot her in the face. So they're taking her on the corner there by ambulance right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here with me.
Jesus Christ. Okay, right, here's Reuters reporting on it. Bovino was, oh my god, like, look at these adverts. Minneapolis, January 7th. A U.S. immigration agent shot and killed a driver in Minneapolis on Wednesday amid an immigration enforcement surge, according to local and federal officials. The latest violent incident during President Donald Trump's nationwide crackdown on migrants. The shooting drew protesters into the streets near the scene, some of whom were met with by heavily armed federal agents wearing gas masks who fired chemical munitions at the demonstrators. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security, said in a post on X that the ICE officer began firing after a violent rioter attempted to run over ICE officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. Also, by the way, in situations like this, where you're just straight up pointing a gun at, like, a human being, you know, who's like pointing a gun at a human being in a car, you cannot sit there and just be like, oh, you know, they tried to ram us. It's like, you're pointing guns at them, man. That's on you. But who knows who knows whether they're even telling the truth. No MILFs near you ads. Yeah, I ain't been watching any of this. Reuters could not immediately confirm details of how the event unfolded. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey blamed the Trump administration in a post on X, heightening tensions around immigration enforcement. Don't worry, though. Asmongold will tell us this is... Oh, it's actually nice to kill those oval Somalis. The presence of federal... sorry, we just read that. Trump, a Republican. What even is that? Like, come on. Who do you think is reading this article and doesn't know that Trump is a Republican? Trump, a Republican, has deployed federal immigration agents to Democratic-led cities across the U.S. through his first year in office, leading to backlash from residents. In recent weeks, agents have been sent to Minneapolis following allegations of fraud involving Somali immigrants whom Trump has called garbage. A dark-colored SUV with a bullet hole through its windshield and blood spattered across the headrest was seen rammed into a pole on the snowy street where the shooting took place. U.S. Border Patrol Commander-at-Large Gregory Bovino, who has led other enforcement actions in Chicago, Charlotte, and New Orleans, was also on the site. Venus DeMars, a 65-year-old Minneapolis resident who lives near the site of the shooting, described seeing paramedics perform CPR on a woman collapsed next to a snowy bank next to the crashed car. Shortly after, they loaded her into an ambulance and then drove away with the sirens on. There's been a lot of ICE activity like this, but nothing like this, Damar said. I'm so angry, and I feel helpless. Don't worry, guys, if you just vote for the Democrats, they're not going to do any of this. And you shouldn't be concerned about this. You should spend your time raising awareness for Israelis. So, and Zionists on college campuses. The person was apparently a legal observer who was shot. I'll continue to monitor the situation closely. Tim Wells said he was also... My public safety teams is working to gather information on ICE-related shooting this morning. He posted on X. We will share information as we learn more.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Status Coup did... Thanks for the $2, Lemon Mint Cat. And always glad to see you. Status Coup... I've just searched your name after Status Coup.
Is ramping up their surveillance state and use of surveillance technology, and journalists might very well be the next target, including Status Coup journalists.
You can help build the only independent news outlet, always on the ground with the people, for as low as 16 cents a day.
Right now, we have...
Media covers up.
I'm JT Siskowski for Status Coup. Right now, we have two reporters on the ground in Minneapolis, our own John Farina, as well as Tina Desiree Berg, who has done a lot of incredible work for us out in LA and all over the West.
I am increasingly convinced about this showmanship, because all of this stuff about, like, what the US is doing, who's in charge of it, Pete Hegseth calling it the Department of War. You know, Pete Hegseth rose to prominence after being a soldier, after being like a genocide merchant on the world in service of the Bürgerreich. When he was on Fox News, the first thing he did was raising pardons for some American soldier who just admitted to having murdered someone. They increasingly want unaccountable security forces that can just murder, who are loyal not to some like vague notion of America, although that's basically just being loyal to capital, but rather they are loyal specifically to Donald Trump and, I guess, Trumpism for when he dies.
Western half of the United States, and she's helping us out again now in Minneapolis. But her and John have already attracted the attention of ICE agents, this time outside of a local hotel. Let's take a look at the video that they got of themselves being surveilled and recorded by ICE agents.
I genuinely also, just once again, I cannot believe that, like, people like a liberal like Ethan Klein is probably tweeting today about Hassan Piker and Taylor Lorenz. He is tweeting about Hassan and allegedly abusing his dog. Someone who is an ally of your community, who many people think are based, who watch you, is literally out here saying that he wants to dress up as Ash Ketchum to go and do ICE raids with ICE people who are just like murdering civilians, surveilling journalists and all of these things, you know? No one gives a shit, of course. There has been a bit of growing criticism of Asmongold amongst some of these liberal content creators, but put frankly, these people don't care. They'd rather just dunk on Hassan because it's appealing to a way broader audience of both liberal leftists and also right-wingers. Like liberals, not leftist.
He was looking.
The fuck?
They're ICE.
Yeah, they definitely are. Start reporting. Fuck you.
You got that?
Yeah, did you get that?
Well, I mean, like, look, I feel like certain dogs are hard to train, but also just having every dog you've ever had constantly shit in your house and constantly shit in your work studios is indicative of being a horrendous dog owner. I have of all the people I have met who have owned dogs, I have never ever met someone who every dog they own shits in the house regularly unless the dog is sick and has some kind of stomach issue. That is insane, by the way. How is your dog just always shitting in the house? Like, what is that about?
You didn't?
So there you see an ICE agent walking up to our reporter's vehicle, then walking away and taking a video of that vehicle as they do. There's nothing illegal about that. It's a little disconcerting for someone in a position of government authority to immediately start recording journalists as they are doing their job in our vehicle. And Tina is well within her right to give the finger there. I probably would have as well. But that sort of intimidation, inherent intimidation of recording journalists attempting to do their job is very much in line with what we have seen out of the Trump administration's work, not only here in Minneapolis, but in cities across the country. John Farina was pulled over by Border Patrol agents and threatened with arrest if he continued to follow and record them. But that was not the first or even the third interaction that we have had with ICE agents. Myself was twice when I was riding around with Andrew Mercado of Mercado Media in Minneapolis, was boxed in by ICE agents on 2 occasions, made to wait in our vehicle until they could apparently figure out that we were journalists, and then they let us go. But then also in Chicago, myself and John Farina were interviewing a woman who was just holding up a...
The only hope that, like, liberals have in America and Democrat fans have in America is that Trump will die and there is no one with any source to replace him. Like, that is their only hope. Because if anyone else who's not a senile old moron takes power, someone who is actually way more ideologically committed to, like, this techno-fascist state, maybe someone like J.D. Vance, who's, like, picked by Peter Thiel and stuff, very, very, very bad things are coming. And will be America's permanent future. And I think that whatever happens, even if the Democrats win the next election, they will lose the one after. So...
protest sign on the corner of the street, just having a single solitary anti-ICE protest all by herself. We saw her, we stopped, we interviewed her.
Okay, I'm not going to watch the whole of this, but if anyone wants to check them out, Lemon Mint Cat has recommended them, and I trust your recommendation, Lemon Mint Cat, for just about, like, ICE repression. I'm just looking at, like, this kind of, of this kind of stuff. But let's listen to, like, by the way, how long do you think it is before vigilantes end up doing this kind of stuff? This guy has, like, gone out and let's hear what they've got to say, these two morons, David and Nick Shirley. Your surname is Shirley. Come on, bro. L name.
What's happening here in Minnesota? You've been living here for years now. How bad is this fraud?
So I was born in Minneapolis a long time ago. I've lived my whole life here. And my opinion is that this is the worst fraud in human history.
By the way, there are scales of fraud. Like, what's the Malaysian fraud? Fraud scam. You know the one that they kept saying that Ethan Klein's lawyer is involved in? Is it Malaysian? Oh, what's it called? The major fraud. That was like multi-international governments getting involved in that. Isn't vigilantism already happening? Yeah, I suppose, like, accelerated vigilantism. Like, this guy's like, okay, right. You need to go round and harass Somalis. How long is it before someone takes that and we just get KKK, ultra KKK coming out?
What is occurring in Minnesota and more specifically in the Twin Cities right now?
How much money do you think has been sent around fraudulently here inside Minnesota?
Over the years, I would say anywhere from 80 to 100 billion dollars.
And right now, the big controversy is with...
You know, if you're a journalist, you might ask, because that is such a huge number, you would go, wow, where does that come from?
Tim Walz and his government and the fraud that they've allowed to happen within the Somalian community. Right behind us is Cedar Riverside, a location where it is very densely populated with Somalians. How have Somalians gotten into the system to fraud the American taxpayer?
Well, so That complex you're seeing behind there, I attended the University of Minnesota, and in the area we're on right now, this is the West Bank, and it was always called the West Bank, and it was sort of the place to be when you're in college, and that was all.
What are his credentials? Bro, he's a guy. He's just a guy. And yes, morons with microphones, and not just microphones, iPhones, who go to like right-wing, this is like an amazing phenomenon in the UK. There are all these people who just go and film right-wing protests and are already right-wingers themselves, and then they act like journalists, that they have the ability to do anything that they want. They go online and claim that they're journalists, and they're like, they have exposed something, they've done something amazing, and they've just done nothing. Pink Honeybee, thank you for becoming a member. It's annoying that the gifted aren't showing up, but thank you very much for supporting the channel. And yeah, thanks for becoming a level 1 member. Enjoy the Chris K thumbs up. I'm not wearing a white shirt today. I hope you guys like that I've worn a shirt.
Student housing, 100%. That building you see in the background, it's now 100% Somali. And I can
100% Somali.
Tell you confidently, they don't pay for their housing, they don't pay for their food, they don't pay for their vehicles, and on top of that, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fraudulent companies set up, and they're sucking billions of dollars out of the state of Minnesota. And how?
It's kind of like incredible that this is what constitutes something meaningful for right-wingers. And I think once again, facts do not matter. Drill this into your head. Remember this. Theory matters. Facts about anything do not matter. You have seen this around Palestine. There are still a huge amount of people who believe what the Israeli government says, and you are never going to change that by trying to tell them, well, actually, here's this fact that totally contradicts it, because they'll be like, oh, it's made up. You have to argue on the basis of narrative and to try and change it around that, like to target why they're actually supportive of something, why they're actually enjoying it. And in the case of this, obviously, this guy is doing it as a grift. These two are doing, I mean, I don't even know. This guy may just be a racist for the love of the game. This guy on the left is just a grifter moron who will do anything. He'll go to Israel. He'll do anything for anyone who gives him enough money, that gets him enough clicks, that gets him taken seriously as any kind of journalist. This guy on the right, the old man, is just the love of the game, hating Somalians and making to range shit up. Although I think he is actually he was a former, like he stood for, in some way, to be a Republican. Chris, you might be right. The techno-surveillance state is rising, and that's why we have to vote for Wes Streeting extra hard. Yep. I once saw an explanation like this. If during the height of like the vaccine panic, you could point to an expert and say, look, you do not understand virology, you do not understand medicine, healthcare in any way that this person does. And people would still be like, no, here's this one person who is making huge amounts of money on the internet by saying otherwise, that is actually telling me that if I get this, we're all gonna die. It's part of a mass population cull. And they still go, and they're still just like, I don't care. Why do you think pointing out that the guy on the right is just a moron who is offering nothing, there is no evidence of what he is saying, is ever going to change the mind of someone who enjoys this? I think the only way to combat it is to talk about, like, is this really serious? Do you honestly think that the president enriching himself and all of those around him are less of a problem than some Somali guys? Because anyone whose mind is going to be changed will maybe say, okay.
Are they sucking?
Yeah, I don't know how Somalis are getting free cars, but the Somalis be pulling up in the Lambo.
Billions of dollars out of the state of Minnesota.
Somali Lambos!
Well, one example would be with the hundreds of child care facilities that they have set up. And on every one that I visited, and I've been to maybe 100 of them or more, I never, ever have seen...
Bro, proudly saying that you've been to 100 daycares, and it is crazy.
One child at any facilities ever over the past 7 years, 8 years.
What are the businesses that are being used to fraud the taxpayer here in Minnesota? You have the daycares. What are all of them?
So you have, you have child care, you have adult daycare.
Drag the Ripper, I suggest you retract that comment. Trump has not scammed any money in crypto. He's just done good and meaningful business for America, and he's now invading Venezuela and civilians dying. Good, because you get more money as Americans.
You have in-home health care. You have straight health care, and nobody really knows how that's defined. And then you have transportation, non-emergency medical transportation. And if you do a search, you'll see that the state of Minnesota says they have 1,020 non-emergency medical transportation companies. And my research is showing that 95%.
Like, this rhetoric is just so tired as well. Ronald Reagan spoke constantly of the welfare queen enjoying at your expense. Come on, man. Like, reckon with this. Reckon with this. You don't need to know you don't need to know anything. You can just say anything.
Some of those are Somali owned. And what I know is that the people writing the checks at the state of Minnesota never, ever, ever verify that any trip was ever made or that any appointment was ever made with a dentist, chiropractor, or anything.
And also, if your life was dedicated to this, you think that there would be you'd be going everywhere with really, really hard proof about what you're doing. Yeah, social services are evil. Social services are the problem. But this guy, I mean, he's also... This guy, to be fair, what I do have to say to Nick Shirley is he is really interesting, having created this new genre of just going to places and just saying, what's going on here? And people love this shit. Maybe I'm just going to start filming myself walking around buildings and going, what is going on here?
Type of business providing the same service in the same building. Another, convenience, home healthcare, aid, Inc., and child-friendly space. All these companies get money from the government. Why would you have the same company, essentially, inside of the same building?
Because they rent offices! Surely it's just like... I mean, if I'm guessing, right, what it probably boils down to is the government rents these offices at reduced rates. Or there's some kind of contract with the government and it's a way of keeping money flowing back in for the government or something to that effect. I don't know.
Door to door. Right here, Queenly Home Healthcare. It just does not make sense. If you're trying to operate a business, you'd want...
It's not a business, though. Not fully a business, right?
...to have less competition.
Oh, no, I guess it is a business. But this is... By the way, I also don't think these offices are where they're doing most of their business.
Competition.
Wait, actually, are they technically businesses? Because I thought they were entirely government funded and they all had Lambos and shit.
But here, they have all of their competition right next door. Same.
Crazy. Crazy. There's one more. Watching this guy be confronted is quite funny. Here's Harry Sisson talking about it.
This is MAGA YouTuber
volume based?
Nick Shirley, back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue. But no, fraud is fraud. And so I'm not out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video released over the weekend in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares.
CNN. This is why Nick Shirley is being nominated for the Pulitzer Prize by J.D. Vance and you're not. He's uncovered hundreds of billions. You need to note that.
Run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go.
Aren't these people all about protect kids too?
Inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody to be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a
There
daycare.
should be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then why can't they...
Also, surely as well, a lot of this securitization of daycares might be a product of something that goes on in America, right? I'm not sure what that could be that might provoke or produce that issue in America, where any building that has children in it would need extreme security and locks and stuff and blacked out windows. Does anyone have any ideas what that might be? Something that's kind of specific to America in the amongst Western advanced states.
Actually give me information how to enroll a child.
Federal law enforcement has been investigating fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media
what daycare has a reception? Has this guy ever been to a daycare? I don't know, maybe the babies and children need to, like, tell the reception staff about the plans of their life.
They've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud.
These videos were crazy. Some of these videos where they were just like going up to some guy and they like seen any fraud and they're just like, no. Not a serious country. All of it is just pageantry and show. They don't actually do anything. They don't even have, like, the major capacity to carry out the perverted, like, violent crackdowns that a lot of these people want. And so they just make videos all day. This is bigger fraud, by the way. This idiocy. Like, how much money do you think was spent on producing this video? Probably not very much, but it still took time out of these people's day to go in and just film random people.
Investigation.
Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on, you know, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children, they're receiving...
I went to all these daycares in Minnesota. One day, maybe the daycares called around and warned them. Creepy looking guy inbound.
Millions of dollars. We uncovered nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you
$110 million of fraud in one day?
know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening. And then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos, you know, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside?
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
You know, we have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that.
Isn't this also like a big part of 2020, like a big reason that this all kind of happened, like COVID relief related stuff?
We can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed.
Did you know
They're
that?
showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Whitney,
who is this guy?
You mentioned in your story that there were dozens of convictions going back to 2022. Can you explain what those convictions established?
Well, this was really the beginning of this massive fraud case that has now led to more than 50 convictions, 56 people at least convicted as of September of this year, Jim. At least 78 people have been indicted in that case. It was this sprawling investigation that, DOJ has really touted as their effort to try to root out what is a fraud problem here in Minnesota, Jim.
And then, of course, that many of them did begin a number of years ago.
Yeah, where's the Kalshi integration and the poly market integration? So here's a witness account of the shooting. Okay, right. I need to set up a thing. Yo, Henry, generate me a thing where it cuts out chat. I'm joking. I can do that myself. Okay, so let's read this witness account of what's... Oh my god, look how stupid I am. I can't even move these things together. Sorry, right. There are many doctors' offices that do Medicare fraud, but that's on the government to hire more people to help set up and monitor the programs, not fire everyone. They don't give a shit about... Of course, it's not really about fraud and people enjoying at anyone's expense. The campaign is to introduce explicit social Darwinism to justify insane inequality and mass poverty. I mean, already this guy... Yeah, like, I don't disagree with you, but I also don't think that this is, like, a new thing. Maybe just, like, a major acceleration of it. Like, why European countries, like the UK, still cling to austerity when it clearly is not the problem, or, like... when like benefit problem is not the major problem with benefit fraud is not the major problem we're facing today is insane. A witness to Wednesday's shooting in South Minneapolis told NPR News that she saw a federal agent shoot a woman several times. Emily Heller lives near 33rd and Portland, and she woke up to a commotion outside her home. She said she saw a car blocking traffic on Portland Avenue that appeared to be part of a protest against federal law enforcement agents. Heller said she heard ICE agents telling the driver, a woman, to get out of here. She was trying to turn around and the ICE agent was in front of her car and he pulled out a gun and put it right in, like his midriff was on her bumper, and he reached across the hood of the car and shot her in the face like 3 or 4 times. Heller said it appeared the woman then accelerated and travelled about 100 feet before striking a utility pole and some other vehicles. Wait, is there actually a video? I mean, I'm obviously not going to show a video on stream, but... How do you spell Minneapolis? Yeah, I did spell it right. Have I spelled it wrong? What the fuck? There's literally... By the way, I'm not going to show the video on stream. It's not actually graphic. There is no way that there is any threat to these ICE agents. They have literally just cold-blooded murdered someone in the street. But this witness account doesn't necessarily seem to be wholly accurate.
Fucking criminals!
Because... And I mean, I wouldn't blame the person, because when you're reporting on, like, an insane event like this, it's hard to really know what's going to happen fully. But yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. Maybe there are multiple shots. Maybe I'm just not seeing it properly. They, like, the ICE agents try and open the door, and then a guy in front, as they try and drive off, he just shoots her. Just shoots the driver of the car. Jesus Christ. It's not, like, very gory or anything, but I'm not showing it on stream. It's not gory. Still someone dies, you know, so you may not want to... Oh no, there are multiple shots. Sorry, I couldn't see the multiple shots, so... They just straight up murdered someone in the street. And someone made the point of like, oh, you know... And once again, someone made the point, I already saw this on Twitter, that's like, Trump has literally said that he's gonna invade Iran, that they're locked and loaded to get the Iranians if they kill protesters. They're the same people doing it! And we have to listen to, like, we have to listen to this crappy... a notion that it was actually good for the people of Venezuela for Donald Trump to go in and get rid of Maduro because, you know, things will get better for average Venezuelans. Not only is the continuation of Western imperialism objectively worse than whatever the hell Maduro's up to, even if all of the allegations that the US government claimed were true, however... This is not a country that is interested in freedom. It is a country murdering its own citizens. It is a country that is brutal, dictatorial, and unaccountable to its people. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized their vehicle. By the way, this is categorically untrue. Attempting to run over law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. Raquel has made an interesting point here, which I cannot and will not endorse, but Raquel has said, all ICE agents must be put down like dogs they are. Raquel, you can't be saying that. But yeah, someone said we've reached West Bank levels. No, there is no way that the US will reach well, who knows? The US is a fragmenting country, and as social issues and as the effect of tariffs come in more and more, the things that are going to start happening are going to increase massively. But yeah, the video basically shows the opposite of what is being claimed here. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. Once again, the most Israel-coded administration ever. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. Worst news of the day. This is a direct consequence of constant attacks and demonization of our officers by sanctuary politicians who fuel and encourage rampant assaults on our law enforcement, who are facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats. Make that 8,001%. Looking at this top comment. This is an evolving situation, and we will give the public more information as soon as it becomes available. But it's all okay, actually. It's okay for to shoot these people because it's not being carried out by the scary IRGC of Iran. Because if it was, they'd need regime change because they were tyrannically oppressing the Iranian people. But yeah, there's videos of it all over Twitter. I'm not going to show them. Who knows what the... No, that's really... Poor baby ICE officers, yeah. I'm just saying the news putting videos of executions on live TV is doing something wrong. It's your own choice, nobody else. Yeah, I mean, the news shouldn't really be showing videos of it. I think it's troubling. And yeah, I'm not going to show it, I'm afraid. Like, if any of you are worried or want to see it, it's not something I'm going to do. Right, sorry, we'll just watch this quickly, because some of you were talking about Zach Polanski a second ago. Israeli-inspired shit. I mean... Don't get me wrong, it's not that this is Israeli-inspired shit. Like, Israel has not inspired the US to be like this. That's not what I'm saying. The reason I keep referencing, like, Israel-coded, and someone responded this to one of my tweets saying, oh, this is the most Israel-coded administration ever. What I'm actually saying is how they're discursively justifying things like, oh, you know, our officers were hurt, the evil terrorists tried to weaponize their vehicle against us, and blah, blah, blah. When the hard reality is that they are murderous thugs.
May the 7th is the Conservative Party will cease to be a national political party because they are going to get obliterated in Scotland. They will barely exist in Scotland after May the 7th, and I genuinely believe that. And they're probably not too far away from that situation in Wales as well. And I really think that your Bromleys, your Bexleys, your places like that in this campaign in London, places that have literally always been conservative, I genuinely think we've got every chance of winning. Now, your last question is much harder to answer, and that's what percentage will we need? And I don't know. I mean, this Polanski bloke's appeared out of nowhere. Ambitious sort of chap, isn't he, really, with something that he's trying to do? I mean, clearly a lunatic. But, you know, there's a market out there for heroin. There's a market out there for open borders. If this is what turns you on, then the Greens are clearly for you. And in as much as we've obsessed since the election about the changing nature of centre-right politics in Britain, I'm actually more fascinated by the changing shape of centre-left politics.
Okay, that was far less interesting than I thought it was going to be. Couple of comments that I want to address here. There's a documentary where a protester from Palestine said the police reactions to protest in Ferguson made him feel like he was back in the West Bank. That kind of stuff doesn't... surprise me. That, like, Palestinians notice the similarities. Sunshine the Human.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Thanks for becoming a member. That we're now, I don't even know, we're 5, which is what, 5% of the way to 100, although we're actually on like 7 or 8. But yeah, remains to be seen. But thank you very much for becoming a member. Thank you for supporting the channel, Sunshine. Incredibly, incredibly kind and appreciated. But yeah. And sorry, you said something, it's the same as America, just condensed in the case of Israel. Israel is also in a very different situation to America because Israel has like an actively open frontier with a population who offer like a full challenge to the very fabric of the Israeli state. Of course, there are protesters who want that and offer that, but Palestinians, even by virtue of existing as Palestinians, threaten the existence
It is utterly ridiculous.
of Israel as a settler colonial state. But you know, increasingly, as all protesters are securitized as evil terrorists, as the military is increasingly deployed onto the streets, this distinction will be blurred, and there will be way, way more killings. Papa Jacka 1, thank you for becoming a member as well. Jesus, thank you all for supporting and enabling me to do this. You're now the 6th member of today, although there are actually like 8 or 9, I think. Everyone's becoming members. There's a bit of a membership train going on. Everyone loves the memberships. The people want to be members of the they want to be members of the constituency. So scared 5-year plan is just. They train, for example, at the NYPD. They have an officer there, even if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, the NYPD do go over there and do training, and all of this stuff is undeniable. Like, all of this stuff is undeniable. Do you remember when they were saying it was anti-Semitic to have ever stated that? Okay, right, we're going to hop on to some Venezuela shit. You know what I be on. That's what I'm saying, Chris. Lawless law enforcement, killing people in the streets. Yeah, also really funny that I love how, like, all the time we basically have to deal with this thing of basically believing, like, oh, everyone's got scary militias that are unaccountable to the state and they just report to some evil dictator who's bad. And it's just like, okay, Trump now has his own little weird militia filled with, like, Nazis and such. Okay, so this is Julia Buxton on Times Radio.
This is a purely transactional operation. It's about access to oil in the economy. And if you can make a deal with the existing Venezuelan government, Maduro's vice president, that's the direction he's going to go.
The former Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, is in New York ahead of his court hearing. He's due in court round about 5 o'clock our time. You'll hear coverage of that with John Pinar here on Times Radio. He is facing narco-terrorism charges after his capture by the US over the weekend. So Keir Starmer is so far refusing to say if he believes that President Trump's actions break international law. The Chinese are demanding that the US release Maduro. Well, Julia Buxton is Professor of Law and Justice Studies at Liverpool's John Moores University. Professor Buxton, good afternoon to you. First of all, what could a British Prime Minister say in these highly unusual circumstances?
Well, we'd be hoping for some very strong language from Keir Starmer, really. I mean, this is in the UK neighbourhood. This impacts the Caribbean region, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, which is right next door to Venezuela. So it's really quite extraordinary. Also, the UK holds over £1 billion worth of Venezuelan gold. We have a very important vested interest and a voice.
By the way, I'm pretty confident that this is the case. I think this lady is apparently very based. Yeah. So Isaac said that her work is pretty good. So if you want to check her out, her name's Julia Buxton. One of her things is in the New Left Review, Venezuela after Chavez.
In US action in Venezuela, and it's very, very disappointing that we've not had this expressed by Keir Starmer.
All right, let's have a listen to exactly what he said. He was asked a question by Sky's Beth Rigby about whether President Trump had violated international law. This is what he said.
Well, international law is really important. It's the framework
and it's for the US to set out its justifications for the actions that it's taken. But it is a complicated situation. It remains a complicated situation.
So you're not going to say whether you think
the most important thing is stability and that peaceful transition to democracy. That's what matters to Venezuela above all else.
Yes, I mean, I think you'd have to say that's somewhat mealy-mouthed, Professor. What do you say to that?
Oh, yeah, it's completely unacceptable and quite disappointing that a human rights lawyer, the best that they can suggest is that perhaps this is a violation of international law. I understand that the UK government is waiting for the Trump administration to present its justification for this invasion. Trump's been very careful not to present this as being actual war or a direct conflict with Venezuela. They're using the mechanism of charging Maduro, as you know, with narco-terrorism charges. But the reality is that Trump is as less convinced of the importance of convincing the US Congress of the legitimacy of these actions.
Wait, sorry, quickly. I just want to note something. This is apparently just been posted by Trump. For a very long time, buying and owning a home in America... sorry, I've just got to move the chat. Buying and owning a home in America was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many young people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes. And I will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more at my speech at Davos in 2 weeks. He's going to Davos? He's going to make everyone eat the bugs? Jesus. This is actually like a very popular policy. And the reason I bring it up, I mean, wasn't there like a thing that you could bet on the housing market announced today?
It is utterly ridiculous.
Wow, Papa Jacka, thank you for the 5 gifted. That's incredibly kind. Unfortunately, they're not going towards the membership goal, but I'll work them out. I'll update it. So thank you very much for the 5 gifted. W, enjoy all of this. Enjoy all of the gifted. Like, okay, so objectively, people being able to buy cheaper houses are good. But didn't Polymarket just announce something about, like, being able to bet on the housing market? Oh, where was I seeing all of this? Fuck. I can't find it. Elab's dream of getting a membership will never happen. But thank you again. That's an incredibly kind donation. Do you think he's trying to manipulate Polymarket? At this point, who knows? But sorry, the only reason I bring this up in the context of Venezuela is it's kind of crazy that he's clearly trying in part to save his credentials, to engage in what looks like an amazing operation that will bring about major change that's celebrated almost bipartisanly because of how, fake left-wingers across European and mainstream American politics have continually angled for the same things pertaining to Venezuela.
Than he is Keir Starmer. So we're really not going to get this declaration from the US. So I'm quite unsure what Starmer's waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's on the fence. Emily Thornberry, a Labour MP, and she's chair, isn't she, of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee. She says she doesn't think it's legal. So she's absolutely come out and said that.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, it's not a difficult question in terms of the...
Why is one of them typing so much?
Violation of the territory.
Oh, no, that's annoying. I think we might have lost Julia Buxton. Have we lost her?
Territorial integrity of Venezuela under Article 2 of the law. Sorry.
Go on.
Shall I carry on?
Yes, if you don't mind, Julia. Apologies.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's obviously a violation of the United Nations Charter, Article 2, the territorial integrity of Venezuela. If the US is going to, suggests that it's perfectly legitimate to intervene and arrest the president in this way, then rightfully it's been suggested the US should be charged with kidnapping unless it can clearly demonstrate that there is a legal basis for its intervention. But I don't think necessarily we should get wrapped up also in a lot of these debates and arguments about whether this is a legal intervention. The reality is it's a disastrous intervention for the United States, and we are really going to see this unravel, I think, over the next few days.
Really interesting. I mean, Julia Buxton, as I said, as Isaac, who's someone who Isaac agrees with heavily. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a point to be made about this.
Right. Well, you say disastrous. The people of Venezuela, on the whole, generalization alert.
Sophie, thank you for the 5 gifted as well.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Incredibly kind. I'm just eagerly waiting to see if they go out to... no, Elab is still not getting it. But thank you everyone who's donating memberships. And I will fix the membership goal for tomorrow to say, actually, the number is higher if it lets me. But screw it, if I need to, I need to. But thank you as always. Thank you for always supporting in this. Well, the goal has 51 days. Basically, to be honest, I'm kind of seeing why membership is a more sustainable way. And I guess it's how people do it for Substack and all of that kind of stuff.
To be glad to see the back of him. Isn't that significant?
Oh, of course it is. It's not a case of, these things can't all be the same at the same time. You can be appalled by the way Nicolas Maduro has acted, but also deeply concerned at the manner of this US intervention. And essentially what the US has done, and it's quite remarkable from Trump, really, is that it's completely bypassed any regime change effort. Maria Corina Machado was the leader of the opposition. It was expected that she would be kind of leveraged into the presidency by Trump and by the US, but she's been completely bypassed because Trump has decided that he doesn't want boots on the ground in Venezuela. So what he's left Venezuelans with is this kind of decapitated regime, which is all still intact. They still control the army, the police, the state.
By the way, Israel is clear proof that constant regime decapitation does not work. They killed Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Sinwar, the vast majority of Hamas's leaders outside of Gaza. They've always been doing this. They assassinated Sheikh Hussein, so many other key figures in Hamas, and it never achieves anything because the fundamental appeal and issue of why those groups continue to exist will never change, because they are not just rooted in evil against the US, they are rooted in a challenge to US hegemony, and that's why they're a problem, not because of their dictatorial nature, but as you all know this.
Economy, the bureaucracy, the Congress, regional government. So, this has been a very, very problematic intervention, and we're really in this kind of limbo right now, which is of no benefit to Venezuelans at all.
Right. I mean, you say the whole situation is going to unravel in the next couple of days, I think was what you said. How will that look?
Well, the problem right now is that, Venezuela has not been able to bring imports into the country. It doesn't have access to its oil economy. We've had this embargo recently on oil leaving Venezuela and an air and shipping blockade that's been carried out by the United States. So the challenge right now is, having removed the leadership of Venezuela, Donald Trump is kind of stepping back and saying our key priorities right now, his statement recently, it's not the human rights issue and the release of political prisoners, it's sorting out the oil economy. Another statement today saying it's the absolute priority right now is for Venezuelans to return to Venezuela from the United States, Venezuelan migrants. So
wait. What did she just say?
Blockade that's been carried out by the United States. So the challenge right now is, having removed the leadership of Venezuela, Donald Trump is kind of stepping back and saying our key priorities right now, his statement recently, it's not the human rights issue and the release of political prisoners, it's sorting out the oil economy. Another statement today saying it's the absolute priority right now is for Venezuelans to return to Venezuela from the United States. Venezuela.
It's actually, that is, by the way, the more reasonable thing that they're doing. Not reasonable, but more reasonable to draw as a conclusion that actually may have some kind of success in terms of what's going on. Like this thing of, basically we're going to return loads of Venezuelans by, destroying Maduro and the security regime. However, they haven't done that. So what are they going to do? Send back political asylum seekers to Venezuela? But I guess a lot of people are just economic asylum seekers too, truthfully.
Migrants. So what the US is essentially doing is putting in action a train of kind of policy and strategic directions. But until we can get into Venezuela, food, imports, medication and security over the next couple of days, this is going to be quite a fragile situation.
Right. And the opposition leader, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, does anybody know where she is?
She had gone to Norway to collect the Nobel Peace Prize, but really hasn't been seen since. It was reported that she'd been injured in this effort to get out of Venezuela and get to Norway. So
and that was presumably facilitated by the US, was it?
Well, we assume so, because otherwise she would have run the risk of being bombed by the US, given that she was going in a boat through the Caribbean. So that would have had to have been coordinated with the US, absolutely.
That would actually be insane. Imagine if they'd done that and Pete Hegseth just was like pissed as fuck, just ordering like a mass killing event, even as she was like, 1.6 trillion! She's just like sat there going, there's a 1.6 trillion business opportunity, and Pete Hegseth's too drunk to understand what's going on.
The US has killed 115 people in the Caribbean recently in small boat bombings, so she would have had to notify.
At that point, then, you assume that the US administration...
That's also, like, insane. It's like, oh, Maduro bad because he killed and repressed people. Yeah, the US killed 100 people with very shaky legal justification and committed a multitude of war crimes.
Were betting on her, and then they changed their mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, clearly the FIFA Peace Prize winning president has triumphed over the Nobel Peace Prize winning president. So this is a real Peace Prize trade-off right now. The way Maria Corina Machado has been treated has really, taken quite a few people by surprise here. But what Trump is calculating, if he had taken Maria Corina Machado, into Venezuela, leveraged back into power, there would have had to have been very, very substantial US support in order to secure Maria Corina Machado, basically. And Trump's basically not willing to do that. This is a purely transactional operation. It's about access to oil in the economy. And if he can make a deal with the existing Venezuelan government, Maduro's vice president, that's the direction he's going to go.
Now, you've mentioned oil. It's obviously behind all this. I'm constantly reading that.
It's really interesting that the fucking Times is just like, oh, it's all about oil. It's obviously about this. The Nobel Peace Prize is equally legitimate to the FIFA one. The FIFA Peace Prize used to mean something. Those were great tweets on the day of, like, the bombardment where someone had, and, like, the assault. Someone just tweeted straight away. They were like, I'm beginning to think that the FIFA Peace Prize may not be that important.
Venezuela has the largest crude oil reserves on the planet. What does that mean?
It means it's got 300 billion barrels worth of oil, mainly concentrated in its Orinoco Basin. But the real problem for Venezuela is that its oil is a very, very heavy crude mix. It's incredibly expensive to get out of the ground. And right now we have a glut in terms of oil supply on international markets. So, Trump is really pushing this idea that oil is going to be the motor of Venezuela's economic development. But frankly, investment in Venezuela's oil sector right now is not an attractive proposition.
Do you know there's like a chance that the production of Venezuelan oil starts becoming totally unprofitable because of the cost to get it out per barrel versus how much you can sell it for? It might just be like worthless.
Because the situation is so unstable.
Well, because the oil infrastructure is going to need so much investment, it's going to require a long-term commitment from oil companies. And frankly, oil companies have far better environments to be operating in than Venezuela right now.
So the narco-terrorism charges that Maduro is facing at around about 5 o'clock our time, how significant is that? And what about the involvement of the state of Venezuela in the illegal drug trade impacting the states?
Okay, well, we're much looking forward to hearing the evidence which is going to be presented against Nicolas Maduro. My personal view is that we've had this kind of framework of Maduro as a narco-terrorist created in order to justify US intervention. They can do this on the basis that this is taking out a terrorist involved in the drug trade. The reality is infinitely more complicated, and this is the danger of the US position. Venezuela has really negligible amounts of cocaine flowing through the country. It lives next door to the world's leading producer of cocaine, which is Colombia, but that cocaine transits to the US via the Pacific, traditionally through Colombia and up through Mexico. Fentanyl, the other great problem that the US has, a problem that first emerged within the US from the Sackler family and the whole OxyContin scandal there.
I'm going to ask this question pretty much knowing the answer. Were the Sackler family ever held to account in any way for what they did? For, like, just giving out huge amounts of very, very horrifying drugs to people? Hello. I am Authentic Man from Venezuela. Okay, well, that's already pretty promising. If you can send me a Twitter video of you celebrating, I will treat that as verbatim the opinion of all Venezuelans. I will also put you in my Guardian article. We do not have access to Procter & Gamble. PG cleaning products such as Tide laundry detergent or Febreze odor eliminator. Thank you, US, for free my people. Wow, Marcus Ryan, thank you for the 10 euros. I never realized they used 10 euros. But yeah, this lady does. I mean, like, of course, this is the irony. The biggest scourges inflicted on American society and the adoption of, like, mass drug addiction is not like just Venezuelans and Maduro sent evil cocaine to get us addicted. Like, drug addiction is a product of the society that you live in, right? And kind of like, arguably, it's also a feeling of capitalism. This kind of feeling that we can never fully satisfy ourselves, no matter what we do, no matter how much we achieve, no matter how much money we have and all of this stuff. We never quite get that satisfying thing. And one of the ways in which we can become satisfied is through, you know, taking huge amounts of drugs to fill a hole within us. And that happens to rich people, poor people, and the hole may be different, or to make us whole, rather.
Venezuela is not a producer of fentanyl. So really, Venezuela is marginal in the drug trade. We do hear that this regime is being propped up by narco funding. The reality is cocaine is at the lowest price in history. I mean, the price of cocaine is...
I never knew that. I had no inclination that it was at the lowest price in history. I did not know that. I have not been out asking for any. Not true. Nothing to do with me. I know nothing of the price. I swear.
Is on the floor, right?
I thought it was at its highest ever. That's how little I knew about the price.
Now, it might be worth, you know, £30,000 a kilo when it arrives here in the UK, but it's only worth £2,000 a kilo when it leaves Venezuela. It's not a lucrative commodity, and it cannot sustain regimes.
Right. I mean, it's actually a fantastic time to be you, isn't it, Professor?
It's also really funny because, like, Assad was like a narco, like Captagon was propping them up, right?
Professor of Law and Justice Studies. You must, every day's Christmas Day for you at the moment, because, I mean, what's going to happen in terms of China and Taiwan and obviously Zelensky's future?
China will strike a blow on Tel Aviv.
As the president of Ukraine, what will Putin be thinking right now? This is such a complicated picture, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, but I think what's been quite interesting, there's been a lot of suggestions and concerns that this sets a precedent for China, as you suggested, to take some kind of action in Taiwan and similarly with Russia in the Ukraine. I actually think China is an infinitely more sophisticated actor than that. And what China's doing right now is positioning itself in some respects as a champion of the international rule of law and highlighting how the US is really violating these standards. They call for Maduro to be released. They've been very, very clear that they are leaning into international law here in demanding the territorial integrity of Venezuela. So there's a dangerous precedent been set, but I would argue it's a precedent that really is one very much for the United States, and we might see replicated in other countries.
And I'm just looking at images on the screens here of the UN Security Council meeting on Venezuela. Do you think that will achieve anything?
It will probably just result in a condemnation of US actions, but the UN Security Council really has been very, very ineffective in some of the most terrible and heart-wrenching crises of our modern times. So we can't really expect anything. Obviously, the US has a veto on the UN Security Council, so there'll be condemnation, but very little will come out from that body.
And how do you think the government in Denmark is feeling right now in terms of the future of Greenland?
I imagine that Denmark is probably feeling rather alienated from its NATO allies and very disappointed that countries like the UK and France haven't come out more strongly in defence of the basic principles of international law and the territorial integrity of nations. So a very, very worrying time for Denmark, for sure.
Thank you. That's Julia Buxton.
Yeah, one thing, once again, I mentioned this yesterday about my feelings around Greenland. I didn't really know that its population was indigenous. Like, I don't really know much about it. And so, honestly, there's not much that I like. That I'm not going to encourage, like, like a war in Greenland. I don't want that to happen. I don't want all those people's lives to be torn apart. Interesting seeing what you're all saying about, like, drugs and stuff. It's a major problem in Scotland, right? I feel like a lot of drug addiction comes from pressure. Like, no matter your socioeconomic status, there's, like, always this feeling that ruin is behind you. Fuck capitalism for real. Definitely, and I think it's also a way to move yourself away from problems. As someone who's, like, I've definitely mentioned before, but, like, and some of you know this, even when I was, like, doing, like, TikTok was all of a sudden working, and for many years I could not go a day without being zooted, one might say, like puffing on cloud, if you will. And I think most of the reason for that was just trying to run away from like any stresses and problems, and you kind of like, and then they self-perpetuate in some ways with that because you convince yourself that you can't sleep without it, and you start panicking and all of these things, and you kind of just realize how it's sort of running away from problems. And to each their own, like I think people should and could if they want to. I have no problem with it, and I do enjoy it occasionally. However, I think that like, I think that you should try and, I think that ultimately reckoning with it and understanding what you're doing is important too, and that it is problematic, that it has consequences, and it's not good for your health sometimes. Like, I definitely feel better in the lung department. This is a stoner boy. I've told people there are even some TikTok lives where I was not off my rocker, but a little bit zooted. There are even some old videos. I could probably find you one if you wanted where I'm off it. But by the way, sorry. Someone has been pointing this out because obviously it's 5 years since January 6th, just after. Well, it's 5 years and a day. What was this? Rep David Trone was wearing whatever these are. I assume they're actually just anti-gas mask things. Why was he taking, advanced gas masks? Why was he taking photos like this? You should take a 2-month break, and good on you. It's very, very hard to take like a long considered break from it, and don't feel that it isn't an achievement. Like, the reason I stopped was just because in 2023, 2024 at the end of the year, I just kind of didn't have as major of an interest in doing it for a couple of weeks, and then I just sort of stopped. And I do it occasionally, but yeah, it's not a regular occurrence anymore. YouTube ain't gonna like that. I've never felt more healthy. Yeah, I'll be frank with you. Like, I don't notice that much of a marked improvement on many things. I do feel better in the lung department. But sorry, has anyone, one of you totally stoned? No, the one of me on Nonabox's thumbnail is just a heinous photo of me. And yeah, if you're functional on it, I was fine on it. I used to do it in the morning, go to the gym, read, do everything I needed to on it. But yeah. I do like the nicotine, I will admit. Obviously, I've still not managed. I'm gonna get myself off the zinnies this year, but I don't know. I like them, and I find it really hard to think of a time where I wouldn't do anything. But then I thought it was hard of a time to not smoke cigarettes, and I don't smoke cigarettes now. Loving my vape way too much due to bad mental health issues. I mean, in terms of using, I will say, and to each their own, and it's your decision. I think David Lynch, as I've mentioned before, had one of the most fantastic statements that you could ever imagine on receiving emphysema, because many people who don't smoke and don't do any of these things will never fully understand it, and so many people's ways of trying to deal with people's feelings around it never really get to the root of why people actually do it. But I'm going to read it, and I know I've read it multiple times. Yes, I have emphysema from my many years of smoking. I have to say that I enjoyed smoking very much, and I do love tobacco, the smell of it, lighting cigarettes on fire, smoking them, but there is a price to pay for this enjoyment, and the price for me is emphysema. I have now quit smoking for over 2 years. Recently, I had many tests, and the good news is that I am in excellent shape, except for emphysema. I am filled with happiness, and I will never retire. I want you all to know that I really appreciate your concern. Obviously, he died quite shortly after this, but simultaneously, I think he makes the point here of like, why it's so fun is because, in part, we know that it's destructive towards us, but it's still something that's hard to move away from, the satisfaction of it all. But yeah, did anyone answer what these were all about? Why they're wearing this? And also, why do you take photos like this? Who is this? I'd love to know. I think of it often. Yeah, it is a really profound quote. The system perpetuates to make it near impossible to stay off pain, so stress. Yeah, I think also I'm just very, very happy in life at the moment. Like, I'm blessed in terms of getting to do this. Like, of course, the news is heavy and difficult to cover at times, but it is blessed to have a community of, like how much this has grown to like a level of consistency. I know I'm not like one of the biggest streamers in the world, but considering that, I've been doing this for what, like 7 months kind of consistently, with a month-long break in that. I also took a week off during the biggest news event that I could possibly have done it. Which was when Israel and Iran were striking each other, and I just had a holiday planned. But, like, I'm really impressed that, like, consistency, that, like, today, you know, there's 300 to 400 people in high 300s consistently, even after, like, a stupid day of, like, causing all those issues with trying to get the thing to work. But, like, trying to get the fucking stream to work. But yeah, like, I'm just incredibly grateful, and it is blessed, and I really enjoy what I get to do, and I really enjoy the fact that, like, I get to create content, and that, like, you know, so many of you are not only so kind enough to, like, sit here and watch me, which I am eternally grateful for, like, the people who are here consistently, and anyone who comes in whenever they can and has the opportunity to. I know you all have busy lives, but frankly, you know, you can go and watch whatever you want. It's not a duty to come and watch me. But yeah, simultaneously, I'm also very grateful for anyone who's, you know, has the ability to become a member, to watch, to do all of this stuff. You know, it's to donate, to become members. Like, I just am eternally grateful that this is, like, a plausible thing to do. Like, it's also, by the way, it has also removed so much of the stress of, like, a kind of, like, consistency of what we're, of, like, being able to do this instead of like stressing all the time over TikTok, of having to get videos up and forcing out videos when I don't care about a topic and trying to make them perfect. But yeah. Yeah, chat, that is one thing I'll say. Chat is very chill. Or chat is always pretty chill. Like, you know, someone may make a bit of a joke that doesn't, like, that may not like hit, and people are like, oh, please don't make that joke. But I feel like people are generally respectful. Except for when that person came in and was trying to back up Graham Plattner. I feel like there was a heated debate over that. But then again, you know, you should be debating topics and pushing your thoughts and developing them and discussing them with people and defending them as well. I know I'm not going to be debating Lonerbox again, but honestly, having like a long debate where I defended my views against someone who probably was looking at chat, maybe was using other resources, versus just myself, who's like just kind of sat there and, you know, just discussing and defending things and doing a pretty good job of it, when, you know, it's hard to defend something that is, like, thought-provoking and all of these things. Yeah, I don't know. But I won't be doing a debate with him again, don't worry. Also, does anyone want to watch Jacob Frey talk about this? I'm just going to zoom in so nothing comes up below.
They are not here to cause...
God, this is going to look ridiculous. What is going on here? Why can I only put it up like 10 at a time?
Safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So, they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself...
I'm going to be frank here. The signer is going hard.
Already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense.
Whoa, I like that.
Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. They are not...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just actually going to change this, because I don't think I'm going to have time to cover the university and Syria and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm just a bit knackered is the only thing. But I am going to stay on for like another 20-25 minutes or so. Sorry, it just got a bit messed up today and it started a bit stressed, but I'm still really happy. I mean, Jacob Frey is a Democrat, so I doubt he's that based, but there is now a video of him here, which sounds interesting.
But I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Yo! I gotta see what the signer's doing for this. I gotta see how you sign "Get the fuck out of Minneapolis."
To ICE,
it is utterly
get the fuck
ridiculous.
out of Minneapolis.
Oh, mate, that is fire. That looks even hot. He should have done it. He should have learned the sign language to do that. Thanks for being cool and chill as fuck. Thanks for the €2, Michelle. Thanks for always being here. And by the way, I hope to always run, like, the platforms I have on this kind of, which, I believe it's the better way to do it, which is anything that is, like, information related or, like, trying to talk and discuss topics with you guys will never, ever be paywalled. The only thing I might ever paywall is, like, put up a thing to do a members-only stream about, you know, playing a video game. But even then, I think most of you would want to watch it.
We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly.
I'm sorry. I don't. Can someone explain this? Does anyone have an understanding of ASL? I mean, it seems like you might, Mediocre. The facial expressions, are they to indicate how Frey is talking, or or feeling, or to add emphasis to the word?
The opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart.
Oh, families are being ripped apart.
Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead.
By the way, when they try and do this kind of like odd fascism stuff well, it's not odd, but just like this fascistic deployment of the military, of like some kind of fucking creepy paramilitary force, you know, but like some creepy paramilitary force, I wonder how this is going to go. All the mayors in the UK will probably just be like, thanks for doing this. There's emotion, but also size, distance. Okay, I see.
That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. Better?
You know what, like, he's a Democrat. I doubt he's changing major things, but this is a good thing. Zay Squirrel had a funny tweet. So, is that a real account? Oh, Jesus Christ. If ICE was justified in shooting the woman in Minneapolis in the head because they claim she posed a threat, as MAGA scum are now saying in unison, the Capitol Police were justified in shooting Ashley Babbitt, in fact, much more so, but they all turned her into Holy Saint Martyr. Now I actually opposed the shooting of Ashley Babbitt at the time and argued it was not justified because she clearly didn't pose an imminent threat to anyone, but MAGA scum don't have any principles. They are just partisan freaks who will justify murder when it suits them. Yeah, I think it is just probably anti-Trump stuff. I think it is just anti-Trump stuff, genuinely. Like tone indicators. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, because I was just thinking at first, I was like, well, I guess it's just to, like, they might just look at Frey's face, and then I was like, oh, hang on a second, you couldn't do that, because if you're deaf, you know, what can you do? But the only thing that does annoy me about this Jacob Frey thing is there are definitely going to be a ton of, like, epic Democrat-based edits that's like, get the fuck out of Minneapolis! I also can't wait to hear the reactions of Asmongold about this, where he's like, actually, political enemies need to be killed, based. I genuinely can guarantee you, Asmongold will watch the video on stream and he'll probably get banned for it. He'll then claim, oh, no, it was because I was not woke enough on it. But, yeah.
Around the scene itself was the notion that ICE agents would be necessary to create a perimeter around the scene itself. They themselves were creating the kind of dysfunction and chaos that they claimed to be trying to help with. And so the message that we delivered very clearly was to make them leave. Now, beyond leaving the scene, they should also leave our city and our state. We do work, our chief does work, our sheriff does work every single day to keep people safe in our city and in our state. And crime is dramatically down. Crime is down. It continues to trend down. They are doing the hard work of investigating, of arresting perpetrators of violent crime. What this federal administration is doing right now is not about creating safety. Do not let them tell you that what they are doing is about creating safety. It is
a pity that all of this rhetoric, as someone put it earlier, is just anti-Trump. This is the only reason it's so strong. If Joe Biden had gone in personally and just shot a protester, they would be like, There's actually nothing wrong with this.
Not. It is having the opposite impact. We need to be clear-eyed about the work that is moving forward, and they need to leave Minneapolis.
We have time for one or two more questions.
Mayor, you may know this.
Kids without.
Kirsty Gnome just, Aaron Rupar's posting about the irony of this. Sorry, ACYN just posted about this.
Fear. Yes.
Business owners across the Rio Grande Valley told me they're concerned about some of the sweeping ICE raids on work sites, particularly in construction, where sometimes workers with legal status are being kind of swept up in the process, delaying projects and hurting our economy. What is your message to these businesses?
Well, that's simply not happening. So it's just not true. We are focused on going after the worst of the worst in every community across this country to make sure that we're making our streets safer. And anyone who is a citizen of this country or is here legally has nothing to fear, has nothing to get out of bed in the morning to...
Why is she wearing that stupid fucking hat in this weather? That does not look like an appropriate hat. Oh, no, wait, no, she's not in the... She's in Texas. Sorry, excuse me.
Be scared of, because we are only...
Her name's not even Kirsty, it's Christy, but I refuse to call her that. That is not a real name.
Enforcing the law. If you are in violation, if you have perverted one of our programs in order to be here illegally, absolutely.
Probably the only consistency you will see appear from Asmongold tonight is the mass murder of innocent civilians is okay when someone he likes does it, basically. That's his consistency.
You may be held accountable for that action, but that individual and those businesses don't have anything to fear if they're following the law. Kids without fear.
I wonder if this will lead to way bigger protests in the US. Like, it will be... Because I don't know if it carries the kind of weight of like a George Floyd moment. It really remains to be seen if it will, or it remains to be seen if anything to that effect will kind of happen. You know what? I'm even going to change the title. It's basically been a Venezuela ice shooting in Minneapolis. Venezuela. That's the first time in ages I've ended up doing a live stream like this, but anything like this I'll just cover tomorrow, basically. Anything I missed today will be covered tomorrow. Was she a white lady? I think she was a white lady, yeah. I think it was a white... It hasn't been said, actually. It hasn't been confirmed at all yet, so I don't know. It remains to be seen. But don't worry, Iran's killing protesters, so it's actually okay. Apparently there's actually just been an assassination in Iran of someone called Mahmoud Harirat. There's like a video of him being assassinated by... Fucking hell, there's a lot going on today. By some like militant Islamists. Not like protesters though, but who knows? Ay. Oh, you can't see the hat. Sorry. There's the hat. And the membership goal's covering it too, which is not updating properly, which is annoying because I was told by Streamlabs, oh, this will work perfectly. It's for gifted memberships as well, but you saw the hat. She's in Texas though, so it is more appropriate of a hat. Okay, wait. Actually, apart from Asmongold, I'll end up with this. I'll end this on this note. We found the other person who absolutely adores what Trump has done. This is amazing for him. Ben Shapiro is like Trump's biggest fan. Foreign interventions, Israel, everything. Mwah. He loves that shit.
The Vietnam Syndrome, the Iraq Syndrome ushered in a period of American retreat and international chaos, led by Barack Obama and Joe Biden predominantly. Withdrawal from Iraq led to the rise of ISIS under Barack Obama. and Iranian proxies around the region.
Ridiculous. Henry, thank you for the 8-month membership. You are the first 8-month member, I believe. Jesus Christ. By the way, the drawdown from Afghanistan, look into it, was basically a Trump policy.
Grew, and that eventually resulted in the cataclysm of October 7th, 2023. Joe Biden grew, and that eventually led to the rise of ISIS under Barack Obama. And Iranian proxies around the region grew, and that eventually resulted in the cataclysm of October 7th, 2023. Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan resulted in the deaths of 13 U.S. service members and prompted, at least in part, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. At least in part, the Russian invasion of 13 U.S. service members and prompted, at least in part, the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Trump ran on the basis of, like, no more foreign wars and is drawing himself closer to Russia. What are you even talking about at this point?
China looked at the United States and the world and decided that it was going to spread its tentacles throughout Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Well, now, on the tail end of Joe Biden's...
Imagine if anyone was talking to Ben about the tentacles of Israel spreading across the world.
Catastrophic foreign policy presidency, again, in Iraq syndrome...
Oh, Sophie, I am going to run off tonight, but I'll address everything in the Discord tomorrow. I just kind of need a bit of a break tonight.
...presidency. Just as Ronald Reagan once did, President Trump has now put the Iraq syndrome to bed. Trump has done so with what could be called the Trump Doctrine.
Wait, did I say Chima or did he?
It's a term that I defined back in November 2024 with the following criteria. 1, America's interests are paramount, and they include a lot of things, from freedom of the seas to the strength of American allies in contentious regions to, yes, oil interests. 2nd, America's interests must be carefully calibrated to our investment in them. So big interest means big investment. Small interest, smaller investment. 3rd, all measures and means necessary to achieve America's interests are on the table, from
This is just shit. Word salad speak.
Diplomacy to military interventionism. And 4th, all of this should be made very public all the time. The threat should be on the table. The threat of the gun should always be on the table. Well, President Trump has done this. Again,
Also, by the way, why are you so fucking upset that anyone threatening Israel with guns? Why are you upset about that? Israel should always be threatened with guns, and it should be made to act in a normal way, not the way it is currently.
Said this was his doctrine in November 20...
But of course, saying that is anti-Semitic towards Ben Shapiro.
2024. And now, in the last year, he has done it twice. First, he did so with the June 22nd, 2025 B-2 strikes on Iran's nuclear reactor at Fordo, reestablishing America's deterrent power in the Middle East, reshaping the geopolitics of the region in dramatic fashion.
Wait, has it established that? Because I thought there was a major argument being made. That actually that Iran is now rebuilding its capacities and that the threat of the gun hasn't done much.
Despite all of the caterwauling from his supposed allies declaring that World War III would break out because, again, they had been captured by Iraq syndrome, President Trump is not. Well, now President Trump has done the same with the ouster of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. In pursuing these actions, Trump has reestablished American deterrence globally.
Also, who is this for? Like, who is actually buying this that Trump has done really well by doing this? Come on, bro.
He's made clear America's enemies are on notice, FAFO. And he's demonstrating that such action doesn't need to lead to a quagmire or to a full-scale nation-building exercise draining America's attention and resources. Iraq syndrome should be dead, and if it is, it died at the hands of President Trump.
Right. Goodness me. That is where I'm going to end the stream. I'm sorry it was a shorter one today. It's been exactly 3 hours. Jesus. Oh, amazing to hear Ben Shapiro's take on all of this. Sorry, I got a little distracted at the end there, but honestly, who cares? It is just slop from Shapiro. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to be live again tomorrow. Thank you for all the memberships, donations, and all of the just support and watching and viewers and everything. I am eternally grateful. I hope that you all have a lovely rest of the day, and we won't have these issues tomorrow, and the membership goal will be updated. I think it's actually already up to 20, which is crazy. I was thinking 100 in 51 days would be not plausible, but seemingly it is. But yeah, thank you. Oh, and also, yeah, if you want to check them out, there's donation links at the top. Check out the Discord where you can see, like, a multitude of different GoFundMes for different people where you can choose and donate and just join the Discord generally if you'd like. So yeah, thank you all for coming. Have a lovely rest of the day. a multitude of different GoFundMes for different people where you can choose and donate and just join the Discord generally if you'd like. So yeah, thank you all for coming. Have a lovely rest of the day.